Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Midnight's Edge After Dark. I am Tom Connors. It is time for MEAD. Welcome. We have with us tonight Clobber in Times. How you doing, sir?
Hey, hello, everybody out there. Thank you for having me, Tom. Good to see you, my friends on the panel and in the chat.
Absolutely, and also joining us, the one and only, even though there's 32 flavors of him, Nick Weiser.
Tom, how you doing, sir? Glad to be here. Hail to you, Script, Clobby. Hail to the chat and to the mods. Tonight is going to be a very interesting bevy of topics, and, well, I'm ready to talk about it, so let's go.
And last but definitely not least is Mr. Script Doctor.
Good evening.
Good evening.
To be here. Don't all talk at once.
Over script, inconceivable. Boy, no, man.
He's here.
No, and everything okay, Tom?
No, everyone's waiting with bated breath.
Oh no, I thought someone was
what's going to happen
all
next.
Right. We'll hold
Yes.
we'll hold the fold down until Tom's back.
Yeah,
Something
we're back.
must have
Yes.
happened.
Hello, everybody out there in the chat. Want to watch your fantastic wonders, folks in there. Good to see you all. Good to see you.
Thank
Hey,
you
Steph.
all for being here.
Look at Steph. Hey, Steffi. Look at all these great people. Yeah. So, Script Doctor. Performed any surgery on
Sorry
a script,
about
any scripts lately?
that. We also have coming in the boss man eventually. And Mikey Sutton should be here before too long as well to talk all this news. But yeah, so you were saying, Clobby?
No. I was just vamping for you there.
Just holding the fort down for you.
We're good to go, brother.
And he's gone again.
Oh my goodness! Oh no! He keeps slipping in and out of dimensions, like he's just like a wormhole right next to him. Something happens, it's a space-time problem.
Yes, so Mikey should be on his way shortly to talk about the big news of the day. Of course, we'll get into all that. We had some super chats. I fucked up as usual, and I accidentally set the stream up on the main channel. That happens sometimes. I haven't done it in a while. It's the first time in a while I've done it. So I was like, crap. So we had some super chats over there. So I don't know if Play the High Note is still with us, but I'm gonna do these super chats real quick from the other side of things before we get into the ones that are on this side of things. Play the High Note said, Warner Brothers needs to find a new franchise. Razor Fist is right. The superhero genre is going the way of the Western. Warner Brothers missed the superhero boat.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Did they ever?
It's really sad with how rich of a universe DC has. Like just the Green Lantern Corps alone is a universe in itself, and the fact that they dropped the ball with all of that is so tragic. It still bums me out to this day. It really does.
Desperation over looking for the best fit for the job. That was Warner Brothers' curse since the early 2000s. Well, since the late 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah, I was gonna say it goes back even further than that.
Yeah, absolutely. That is absolutely right. Yes, sir.
You okay, Tom? Or should we read this?
I'm dealing with idiots.
Okay. I can
just
read
turn
this
off
one
Twitter.
real quick.
Shall we? Yeah, go for it. Go for it, Nick.
Yeah, Kevin Mize for $1.99 says, "Can we get Burton for Batman 3 instead?" Now, here's where I'm going to be very fair here. I don't know if Burton's got it in him to do that type of movie in him no more. I mean, I don't think it would be bad, but I don't think I think it's not his thing to do anymore. I really
Burton isn't Burton anymore. He hasn't been Burton for years.
Thank you. That's you beat me to the punch. He's just not that guy anymore for the role.
Batman 3, you're wanting him to go back to do a third film based on his first two?
So like
Probably.
Batman Resurrected, I guess, or something.
I mean,
Batman Returns again.
Sort of like a Dark Knight type thing, but it was Keaton, and have it be a continuation of his because his first three films are almost separate from Batman Forever and then the horrible Batman and Robin. That's not even the same. I know I know it's considered to be, but it's not even the same universe. It's not the
not.
It's very different in tone, like alarmingly so.
You had Alfred, who was the one connecting thing. I think Commissioner
Gordon. Pat Hingle for Commissioner Gordon was there.
Yeah, Pat Hingle was there.
Alfred.
True, but still.
Yeah,
actually, Alfred didn't do the music for forever, so.
Oh, he did it.
No, Elliot Goldenfeld did.
It's they used a different theme. So yes, you have the connective tissue, Alfred, and
very loosely though. It's
kind of like music for the trailer of Batman Forever.
Yeah.
They used Elfman's. They used the end theme of Fanfare that Elfman wrote for the first Batman film to market the Batman Forever trailer.
I'm gonna just go for it and say, why can't we just get a movie where Batman's fully in his prime? Regardless of, I would like a director who's ready to direct Batman in his prime, and we have had Robin be very successful as Robin with Dick Grayson, who's eventually ready to advance to Nightwing. We have villains that are not the Joker, like actual villains, like Clayface.
Clayface would be a great one.
Like, there's so many great villains there, and they're not technically. It's like these directors just sign on just to say, I want to tell my Batman story. My Joker story. It's just like, guys, there's so many great villains. You haven't even scratched the surface with them.
Oh,
like
there's with Clayface. If you take like not the one Clayface that can actually change his whole form, doesn't need to wear like some sort of hybrid like life support suit or anything like that, and you have a Clayface that can literally transform into anybody. You have a very low budget, awesome mystery where you're trying to find like an invasion of the body snatchers type of killer where. Like maybe Clayface has killed the person, then poses as them for like a couple of weeks, and then the body turns up dead, and they're like, the time of death clearly doesn't correspond with the people that witnessed him, and he's just bouncing on and on and on again until you realize like the twist, which is that this is a metamorpho type supervillain that's murdering people and draining their financial funds so that the actor himself can, like, if it's going to be a Matt Hagen, the actor himself can fund his dream project movie. And he's just killing off millionaires, and then Bruce Wayne shows up, and his Batman is having to chase Bruce Wayne and stop him. And Clayface is, planning to take his fortune. Like, there's lots of stuff you can do with some of the more fantastical Batman villains within that. And then the other part too is reconciling the contrast that Batman himself is not a dark person or a dark tormented character. He's actually a very hopeful, gallant type of person, but he's in a city that's basically a victim of corruption.
Yeah,
and that's the contrast that you have to have there. Like, I don't want any monologue. Like, the Batman that came out recently is the worst written Batman ever, and it starts with a monologue like, the city is dirty and dark and it's a pit of hell. It's like, come on, be less derivative, you piece of crap writer.
No, Script, you're spot on with all that. I mean, like, the thing is, like, yeah, Batman has his moments where he broods, but that's where he also has Alfred as his confidant and Richard Grayson also to balance it out, because Richard has, personality-wise, he has more in common, like, let's just say, like, Superman.
Yeah.
For those moments for when Bruce is in mourning and in sorrow. Richard's
got
there
the
to balance him
background, which means that he's used to seeing weird stuff. And on top of that, one of the coolest gimmicks I loved reading in some of the Robin stories, I even think Chuck Dixon maybe touched on this with a Nightwing drop in at one point, was that Dick Grayson is really good at riddles because one of the people that he grew up with in the circus did nothing but talk up riddles. So he understood the logic behind them. So he was a little bit faster at completing them than Batman was. And same with like puzzles and other stuff. And that's like a great thing to have. Like, that's why Riddler is a challenge to Batman. And on top of that, like, having Robin is useful in that regard, because it's like, here's a kid that understands the levels of riddles in a whole different way, because he kind of grew up listening to them as he was learning to develop his own, like, learning the English language. And he's like, oh, I understand the trick and the parallel and the play on words here and there. And then Batman's like, I'm a smart person, I have a far more experience. And then combining those together, then you're able to, circumvent the Riddler's plots and have some fun with that. And that way you don't have to make the riddles so easy that the audience can understand them, and then everybody else in Gotham is just a moron.
All right. Well, I hate to cut this off. We have Kevin Mize' super chat here on screen. Sorry about that. Can we get Burton for Batman 3 instead? Yes. So you guys already talked about that. Thank you, Kevin. Joining us in the back now is Sil Abdul. How you doing, my friend?
How's it going? What's going on? Tom, and I've been trying to catch Script Doctor for a while here. So yeah, this is good.
Yeah, it's been a few days or, well, more like weeks since we talked, but how you been, man?
I've been doing good, man. It's been a crazy week of DC information, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully Mike will be joining us soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're going to get into all that in just a few minutes. We got some super chats we got to get to first. We've got one from the Walt Man here who said, who saw the Batgirl cancellation coming? Well,
Mikey Sutton.
It's an interesting turn of events, and I guess Gary over at Nerdrotic had been reporting on it too, but I was not aware of that. But anyway, so yeah. Mega Wing Zero says Zaslav knew it was my birthday and canceled Batgirl. There you go. You got a birthday present. Beep Bop Boop says if Zack Snyder made a Batgirl solo or Batman solo film with no tie-ins to any other DC characters and someone else writing the script, I think it could be epic. Maybe. I think that was kind of what we were poised to get with the Batman solo film, but I don't know.
Well,
Zach wasn't supposed to.
Was no, it was supposed to be Affleck who was supposed to write and direct and star, yeah, and then he turned away from the directing to writing and starring, and then became just starring, and then the alcohol stuff happened, and then he was just gone out of the picture completely. Because if I remember correctly,
the alcohol stuff came to a head at that point. Actually, the alcohol stuff started long before even Joss Whedon got involved with with directing.
No, you're right. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Whedon didn't help it.
Deathstroke. It was supposed to be Deathstroke. Batman versus Deathstroke is what it was supposed to be. I think it was. Supposed to be Batman versus Deathstroke, which I was actually looking forward to Affleck to it, because when Affleck actually puts his mind to something, he actually can do good when he's given the right stuff, and he's good at making his own thing. So I would have liked to have seen. I think that would have been far better than what we got out of Soy Batman. So it would have been miles better, and I would prefer that Affleck directed it over Snyder, but that's just me.
But Affleck can get a performance out of people.
Yes,
that's already one thing above Zack Snyder.
Snyder can shake the. I'm not going to go into my Snyder rant.
I will say this: Snyder could storyboard it with a cinematographer, and it'd be freaking phenomenal.
Well, Affleck would make he'll kind of scale it down. I think it'd be more like a people story, right? Like a character-driven type of thing. I would have loved that. Yeah.
Oh,
that makes sense.
You're speaking my language with that. I could get with
loved
that.
Man.
But that again, you got a Superman rebirth of the first Peter Tomasi volume in back of you. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You understand a knack for a good Superman story. So shout out to you, by the way, for that one. I love that Tomasi run.
That's good stuff. Good stuff.
Maybe one of the last great DC runs I actually celebrated a family.
It was one of the rare rebirth runs that I liked.
Yeah, same. I was a big fan between that and Super Sons, bro.
Oh, that was dope. Yeah,
it was
dope.
Did
you read that? Jonathan Kent, but
oh, dude, don't. Did you read that one shot, the Looney Tunes one shot with Dynomutt, Super Sons and Dynomutt? Oh, no. Dude, read it. It's good. Dynomutt. It was when they were doing that whole crossover with Looney Tunes and Hanna-Barbera and
Disney.
Yeah. And it was Super Sons and Dynamite. All right,
not to interrupt. Not to interrupt.
Tangent.
No, that's fine. We've got Mikey Sutton here in the back. So welcome, Mikey. How are you doing today?
Going there.
I tell you what another crazy day at WarnerDiscovery. Oh my god. it just never ends, right? It's a gift that keeps on giving. I mean, a year ago, I was on Soul's show and I was warning people that Zaz was going to fire people left and right. There's some massive changes going on. And you know what, Tom? There were all these shills out there saying status quo. Nothing is going to change. I'm like, have you guys ever read up on mergers before? And takeovers? Do you guys have any fucking idea what happens during this time? I mean,
it's not pretty.
It's not pretty, you know. And I said Sarnoff will be gone, Amada will be gone, and I guess I'll call him Emmer bitch, but everybody calls him that. We're on midnight sketch, come on, be edgy here. So
you want to add in, Mikey? This was March of 2021, or May. May.
Yeah,
2021.
Yeah. And I was getting scoffed at for it, like, oh, Mikey's we got this cover called me a card-carrying Snyder cultist. We got this cover was calling me.
I was like, no, that's me. Mikey's a Marvel.
You have the card? Wow. They issued the card, you guys? Wow.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, they're like, well, his Snyder scoops are dubious because he's a card-carrying Snyder cultists. I'm like, what? This is a website that said Wolverine's gonna be gay in a kind of coming movie. Okay, I mean, you're reading all sorts of like National Enquirer stories, right? They're saying I was a Snyder cultist, which makes me laugh because I still knows when I started doing his show, I was not a Snyder fan at all. It was when the Snyder Cut came out that I like, okay, that's a great movie. I mean, I like 300, but I saw
we whammied Mikey. That's all.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, well, you brainwashed me. So I drank the Snyder Kool-Aid, man. You know. So I was on his show, making him feel very uncomfortable, right? I said, let's talk about Greg Berlanti. And he's like, why don't we do that on my other channel? My other channel that's like non-DC or whatever, right?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, we can't do that.
Look where we are now. I mean, and it's so funny, Tom. So last night I was on Scoop Center. The whole Batgirl thing, right, wasn't big enough to make our menu. We had a menu of like 3 hot topics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Silvo started talking about Batgirl, and I interjected, and I said, "Oh, by the way, I heard it sucks."
Yeah, because you know how we led up to that, right, Mikey?
Yeah.
We was talking about the reshoots, right? Aquaman, and I don't know if Tom will get into that later with Flash and everything like that, but I was given a story that the Supergirl project was shelved a couple of days ago. That they weren't going to spin off the Flash film, and they were reshooting the ending of the Flash film. That was a story I put out after the Batfleck Aquaman story. But,
well, that's the thing. Have they even got to that point yet? Because that's what I was hearing and that was kind of our confirmation on the Amber story that Mikey and I had kind of heard separately a couple weeks ago, which was that Zaslav had okayed the reshoots to get Amber out. We had not heard yet whether or not it was going to be Amelia. He wanted Amelia, but we were hearing the problem was a scheduling conflict.
Yeah, so then, Cole's book. This mirror thing.
I was just going to say, so as soon as we saw that image with Momoa and Affleck and them saying they were doing reshoots, well, that makes complete fucking sense. Because first of all, they need to get Batman out of there, which Mikey and others had reported.
Yeah.
And I had also heard then after the fact too about the screenings. And then like I had heard about the screenings was their biggest problem in the movie wasn't so much that it was Amber Heard, was just the fact that the movie sucked.
Yeah, that's a big
didn't matter which cut, they all sucked, I heard. So
they did. It does suck. I mean,
that's too bad. That's too bad.
And so so they means they've evidently recasted Mira with whomever it's going to be. We don't know yet.
Yeah,
it's total mystery.
Yeah. Right so and they're obviously reshooting the Aquaman bit. But here's the thing. So them shelving Batgirl. That all I could get out of my sources right now is yes, Batgirl's dead. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, shelving is another word for canceled. Yeah.
Yeah, you know? It's dead. I mean, script. I think I don't know if you brought this up yet, but you had heard a few other things, correct? About maybe that it was on the line yet, but that sounded more like, how do you want to put it? Like the creators behind it trying to last ditch effort.
Are trying to not get the movie shelved, but it's already been done. But they're probably going to be lobbying to it for a while, just because they want the credit, not so much like the credit that they made the movie, but they want that film credit as part of their resume and their calling card, so that they can start doing other things. My understanding right now is that there are, because some of these people are represented by CAA. CAA is a big player in town. They're probably making some phone calls and pulling some strings, saying, "Is there anything that can be done to salvage this?" So that because they've already been paid, they want to get that extra stuff that happens with the deals for release and distribution. So there'll probably be some weird stories coming out over the next couple of weeks about them trying to push this forward and through. But I think because I'm very familiar with a lot of old school Discovery shows and programs that were in production, got axed by Zaslav because they weren't performing, and they don't come back. So Zaslav's pretty much, if he makes that decision to axe it, you have to make a heck of a great argument that he's going to not go back on that, and no one has done that in his career yet. So
today really proved to me when Batgirl got canceled, everyone started singing out there on Twitter right now. I had a story 2 days ago that they already did reshoots for The Flash last month. Ezra Miller was on set with Michael Keaton at the least, and they changed the ending to the Flash film. All of a sudden, I hear Supergirl's canceled, or shelved.
That was
not going to shoot it.
The development was halted on Supergirl.
Early June was my report. Early June was my report, And
now,
so
did they specify when that supposedly happened though?
No, early June is when the reshoots happen.
That's when you said the report. I'm sorry.
No, I reported it a couple of days ago. And
okay, gotcha. That's my question. I'm sorry.
Canceled. Yeah, and then Batgirl's canceled, which makes sense because you reshoot the Flash ending, something with Keaton changes. You put Affleck in Aquaman, taking out Keaton. The only spinoff is what Batgirl, right? I mean, Supergirl didn't even shoot yet, so it all makes sense. The Flash movie changed. So Batgirl killed.
Yeah, and I remember I messaged you, Tom. I said I had some calls before I would go on the show today. I got some additional information about what's going on here. Any shockwaves throughout WarnerDiscovery over this? They're really shocked this film was shelved. But I was on Still's show last night on Scoop Center, and my insider called this the Big Mac of Hamada burgers. That's how bad it was. Remember the look of shock on Still's face. So I'm like, oh my god! And then this happened the next day, and I'm like, okay, no, my insider was correct. Discovery hates this movie, right? But what I found out today, it's not just hatred. The movie does not work with the new direction that they're going with DC. This Flashpoint timeline is dead. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's what makes me wonder why we're not hearing about the Flash being shelved first. And the only reason I question that is with Sill saying that he heard about reshoots, which that also, I'm trying to remember the timeline. Was that before the big hit pieces came out or was that after?
It was kind of afterwards, right? Because I was talking to with that new
Ezra. Because they couldn't find him. That's the whole thing, is they couldn't find Ezra.
Yeah. Well,
so that's where I'm thinking this was before the reshoot. The reshoots were before the other shit came out. Because, and this is what I had kind of heard, was every time one of those things would drop, Zaslav would lose his fucking mind. Because their original plan was to just kind of wait this out and hopefully things would die down and they could release this film. With them killing Batgirl, releasing the Flash just makes no sense. It just makes no sense. There's no reason to at this point. If the story doesn't go anywhere, if it doesn't really lead to anything at the end of it, then it is absolutely fucking pointless.
Unless they make it where he fixes everything at the end of the film.
Yeah.
The timeline never happens. That's because I was telling
what's the point of the movie?
Exactly.
Well, are they trying to? Well, here's the thing: are they doing it just to salvage the Michael Keaton performance? Because from what I heard, he's in Batgirl a hell of a lot more than he's in the Flash.
Well, not anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
Because that's when they first announced the Flash. That's why I was like, wow, that's funny. That's going straight to HBO Max. Because with Michael Keaton, you'd think theatrical release.
Well, it's
but
not
now,
even
that.
It's not even going. It's not even going to go on HBO Max now. It's not going anywhere.
No, and then that was an Emmerich call.
No,
we have to remember.
Fantastic Four by Roger Corman.
Here's the thing: we have to remember that it was an Emmerich call to have it go to theaters instead, right?
Yeah.
But now, here's the thing, though: if this has Michael Keaton in it, and the excuse that they're giving the trades, or at least that's coming in the trades, is that they want bigger movies and stuff like that. But Variety actually confirmed it, I guess. Here, so let's see. I'm going to run through real quick what they reported.
It's
just
too cheap for theaters, basically. As of standards, this is not going to look good.
Well,
which is odd because 70 to 90 million is not too cheap. For
no, it's not.
Well, I think
it's the execution that's probably too cheap for theaters.
Yeah, I think 70 million is the number. Zaz wants 90 plus for theaters, as far as the report. Yeah.
So
because the Variety article doesn't really. Studio insiders insist the decision was not driven by the quality of the film or the commitment of the filmmakers, but by the desire for the studio slate to DC features to be blockbuster scale. Batgirl was budgeted to screen in homes on HBO Max. So, that's the excuse that everybody's going with.
Right.
And see, that's where I'm not so sure on this, and that's where I'm curious about. And I'm not trying to say you're wrong, so I'm just curious about when those supposed things happen, because they were claiming they couldn't find him. So if those reshoots happened before all that mess, and we just didn't hear about, or you didn't hear about it.
If it's a timeline thing, I could get that. Now, again, this source was on the ball with the Batfleck back on Aquaman, before everyone. So that's one thing. But I look at it like with the Flash, because that was an automatic question. Okay, are we killing the Flash? But if they already put money back into it, and they already got Ezra and Keaton changing the ending, I think the Flash is coming out, however they fix it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. But what I was telling you on your show I think I just want to add that Batgirl now joins that Jerry Lewis Nazi clown movie as those unreleased films that we're really wondering about forever, right? So anyway,
they can't just stream it, like really. This is crazy.
Well, I mean, yeah, so it's like Star Wars holiday special bad. At least we saw that once, right? And you can watch like YouTube if you want to. But what I heard is that when I sit on Scoop Center last night, they will change the ending of The Flash, so it'll be a pointless movie that you're gonna watch. Basically, is what it is.
The Batgirl film is gonna be
no, the Flash movie, yeah, like Batgirl and like Barry, what did you do? And then the movie's over, right? So problem solved. Like it doesn't really go anywhere. But then again, Ezra Miller is not going to go anywhere anyway. So
that's a whole nother story, right?
Yeah, they don't want to take a $200 million bath on it. Is what it is. It costs a lot more than Batgirl here. So. But I just wonder. So I remember last time I was talking to you about this. What are those changes, right?
Yeah. I'm leaning more towards the ending, Mikey. Yeah.
Yeah. And Tom, here's a question I posed to Sil. After I got the Batman news from him, right? Check this out. Okay. So the reason for the change in Batman is because the release schedule. Because now Aquaman 2 is coming out before The Flash. So it doesn't make sense to have Keaton in there. But here's the problem with that as well. You can't just have Affleck take Keaton's lines, right? Because the whole point is Keaton is out of place in a timeline. What's he doing there? You can't have Affleck do those scenes. It still makes no sense. Right? So they would have to rewrite the scenes in Aquaman 2, and then still made this point that his source said they couldn't get over. Is the script needs a Batman? Well, wait a minute. If you're not going to follow the Flash timeline, why do you need a Batman there? Why is Batman in Aquaman 2 now? Right. So, what changes did they make to that they would need Batman in there?
Well,
what are they setting up, right?
What are they setting up? Yeah, because you're not setting up the Flash. And now this happens, right? Now this new timeline is dead, basically. This Batgirl film.
Like someone said earlier, now the Flash movie is not really going to make much sense, really. But I mean, who knows what they fix?
Was the movie ever going to make sense, to be fair? We're being really honest with each other here. Talk about the most over-adapted property in the last 15 years. We got it not only comic book format, but in TV show and in animation and now in a movie. Holy crap. And that's
Flashpoint,
all since
one of the
2011.
worst stories of the Flash in existence. It shows you the coolest universe, alternate universe, but it's a terrible story. It's really like, what if Thomas Wayne was Batman? Okay, how do we do that? Well, let's have Flash go back in time. And even though he's so much younger than Superman, he somehow changes Superman's arrival on Earth. The whole ripple effect just doesn't make any sense at all. And then Warner Brothers, in their infinite wisdom, if you want to call it that, decides, hey, let's do a Flash movie. And for the next 7 years, let's try and figure out what the story is and not have one until the crap hits the fan. And now we have to reshoot the same movie technically 2.5 times.
This is a mess, man.
Well, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, if Zaslav is willing to kill this movie, which costs $90 million instead of just putting... Because here's the thing.
Yeah.
The whole it's not big enough for a big screen kind of thing is bullshit.
It is bullshit.
You just add some more CGI to it, for fuck's sake. Yeah. It's got Michael Keaton in the goddamn thing.
No,
exactly.
How much bigger can you get than that as fucking Batman? No less.
I'm
gonna be fair here too. Let me
finish my point, Nick. Let me. I was just gonna say, to me, it makes no sense for him not to shelve Flash at this point. It's like, if you're willing to do this to the Batgirl, then why not Flash too? Yeah, right? Like that just makes sense. If you're not going to spend the money, exactly. If you're not going to spend the money on fixing the Flash, then why would you kill this? Because killing this, the excuses they're giving us makes no sense. Even if the movie is that bad, right? Yeah. If the movie is so bad and he wants to, and if Zaslav is honestly looking to make it bigger or wants bigger things, then you just throw some more fucking money at it and do some reshoots. That's it.
Unless they really change that Flash film, because I don't know how extensive that reshoot was. I know the ending.
I hear what you're saying, Sil, right? Yeah. Like that does make sense, but at that point, why would you kill what is ostensibly your cash cow at that point with getting Michael Keaton in a position where he's no longer in these films after all the trouble they went through to get him in the first place?
Not only that,
that's
just,
the amazing thing.
Rate the level of controversy between Batgirl and the Flash. Which one has less? And you're like,
exactly. That's my other thing too. Like at this point, there's really nothing wrong with it. And here's the thing: I kind of feel sorry for these directors because at this point they're kind of known as one-hit wonders. They had Bad Boys, and there's another rumor going around now that Will Smith killed their career. I don't know about that. To me, it's like they can't seem to get ahead. They did this Miss Marvel thing. That thing went in for reshoots, and now it's the most well-received show on the channel, but nobody's watching it as far as Marvel goes. And then now this project is in fucking limbo. So, or actually pretty much dead. So like, I feel kind of sorry for these guys.
Well, Michael Keaton,
WBD is going to keep him though, but go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, Michael Keaton is upset. Is one of the things I've heard. Very, very upset about. Like the Aquaman scenes that he worked on. Remember all the hype about Keaton last year? Still, all the hype. He is the new DCU Batman.
5 movies. Right? 5 movies. Man, they killed like.
Remember though, he was hesitant to sign on for multiple year contracts. Remember?
Yep, exactly.
Because he only signed on to do, I think, the Batgirl and the Flash at this point, from what I recall from his interviews.
Flash and Aquaman,
Aquaman.
Oh yeah, Aquaman or whatever. Yeah, but that was just a cameo anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And there's supposed to be a Flash sequel, Mikey, right? And then other things after that, but. Yeah, I mean, they pretty much killed the Keaton arc. The Keaton arc.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, why even bother with the Flash? Because like,
because you have Affleck, because you have Ben Affleck footage in there. Like, I mean, I'm just saying, 200 million plus already, probably 300.
That could be too, Pauly. But we heard various things, and it seemed like it took a long time for the show to get out. But regardless, doesn't matter. In the end, the show was better for whatever they did to it. Must have been, I'm assuming, because it is the most well-received show, regardless if nobody's watching it. Even our very own script doctor, our resident script doctor, who doesn't like anything.
No, Marvel is the best of the Marvel.
That's true. He hates
Disney
everything.
Plus shows.
He fucking hates everything. I'm surprised he doesn't say I hate my mother.
He hates
He's real close. Yeah.
He hates the flag. He hates everything. It's true. I've heard that about him. I don't know if it's true.
It's funny how all this was in line with what I've been seeing on Scoop Center about number one, Zaz does not like a new Flashpoint timeline. I've been saying this for weeks now. I don't know what effect it'll have on the franchise, but we're seeing it now. I mean, it's dead.
It's of course correct, right, Mikey? You bringing back in Ben Affleck? They're changing, something major here. Something major.
I mean, they're restructuring it in a way. You see where it's going, so I don't want to get too excited. I already told you what I heard from the very beginning, and it's falling into place, dude. It really is. Because Zazov, I've been saying restore Snyderverse at the beginning, but really, it's really restoring a DCEU is what it is. That's how they see it, the way it was.
That's the thing that I haven't been able to get a real clean answer on, right, Mikey? You're pretty adamant that they're on pace to restore the Snyderverse.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I have not been able to get. I've been hearing that they want to revamp things and get them back on course, but that doesn't necessarily mean Snyder per se. And that's where I've heard the point of contention with Cavill is because if they can't get him back, I've heard that's another big thing too, because they want somebody who's going to be there and available for the next 10 years. And regardless of age-wise, that's not even really the problem with Cavill. The problem with Cavill is going to be more of a schedule, from what I've heard.
Yeah, probably money, too. But you're going to see Cavill.
Well, yeah, money is a big issue, too.
Yeah, you're going to see Cavill, in Black Adam.
You think so?
Yeah.
Oh, he's in it. I'm 100% now.
All right, we got Valiant here. How you doing, buddy?
That's my tribute. That's my tribute to Cavill right here. My avatar.
All right. I have not heard anything solid on Cavill. All I've heard is that they would like to have him back, but at this point they know that they need to have somebody who's going to be able to carry the torch for the next 10 years too.
What I've been hearing about Cavill is that The Rock and his management was the same agent with
yeah, which we've reported too.
Oh, Andy Garcia, yeah.
What they want to do is for the lack of a better term, is adopt the Sony's Spider-Man No Way Home marketing method of like tease and pull, which is why they leaked the San Diego Comic-Con thing, and he didn't show up. And so the whole thing is Cavill really in this movie or not? And they're going to keep pushing that narrative to really build Black Adam, because the trailers did not didn't create the excitement that they wanted it to have. And so they feel this marketing scheme is going to help the film overall. And what I've been told, they call it like a wrestling marketing scheme. I guess The Rock is fully involved
Of course, The Rock.
in putting that. I'll be right back.
Poor Keaton. Is this really Keaton in this picture right here?
I think this is his stunt double.
Stunt double?
Oh, yeah, it had to be. Otherwise, he'll get injured the way Harrison Ford does.
Yeah, it's got to be his stunt.
Yeah, I think this is actually from Batgirl. This is not from Flash, by the way. But yeah,
Batgirl. Yeah,
we've gotten very little out of these films. That's the thing. So, like, I mean, I was looking for it here. I did have a picture of Keaton in the suit, but I can't seem to find it.
They need to leak this. They gotta leak this film. Somebody.
Well, and that's the other thing too. Is like even saying that that's the other part that really gives me pause too. Because here's their excuse: they're killing this because it's not big enough for a theatrical film. Well, then why not just throw it onto streaming, which was the whole point in the first place? Because now they're saying they're not even going to do that. That's the part that gives me pause. And that's where I'm like, okay. And that's where I really question when these reshoots supposedly happened on The Flash and what's going on with The Flash. Because, I mean, I was told that they have not decided yet on The Flash because their next point in line was Aquaman. And now clearly that Aquaman is in order. I'm not surprised we're hearing this. But what I'm surprised that we're hearing is it's this and not The Flash that's being canceled. That's what's got me kind of going, scratching my head going, wait a minute. Like,
well, they've been consistent, right? That they want to get this film out, though. I mean, I haven't seen anything publicly saying, well,
because let me put it to you this way. There was Michael Keaton was making some jokes about being confused about playing off of J.K. Simmons as Gordon.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he was just making some jokes or for what. I don't remember the whole context of it. But basically, that's really you can either keep him in or recast him and just pretend it's what's his face from Pat Hingle. Thank you, from the '89 movies. Because at that point, you could just pretend that Batgirl movie takes place in the Batman universe and put it on HBO Max, and nobody's going to be confused then. You know what I mean? And the only thing is really J.K. Simmons being in there to confuse the matter.
And no Alfred.
And no Alfred.
I just got
J.K. Simmons time traveled. Okay.
How you going to put Pat Hingle in it? Isn't he dead?
I got a text message, which is why I escaped for a minute there. I got a text message, and so I'm told that one of the reasons why, many reasons why Zaza did not like the Flashpoint timeline is that he didn't think that Keaton should have been brought back. He's a 70-year-old man. There's not that much of a future with him as Batman. He wanted to see more Ben Affleck. So I'm going to get more to the story as I'm going to give him a call this evening and find out more about what's going on.
That's consistent, right? He hates the older guys. Like he hated Clint Eastwood. Now he hates Michael Keaton. Huh? So.
Well, yeah, he said how is it going to
Alan
bring?
Ford, who's older than Michael Keaton, and sure, he's in a consultant capacity. So why is he listening to this guy?
So is that their way of saying that Michael Keaton looked too old in the role?
Yeah, that's their way of saying it. Apparently, that's like, how is this going to bring people in the theater that an old man is Batman? He said there's not much of a future here. So they're thinking more of a long-term plan, and Michael Keaton is not in their long-term plan.
I mean, honestly, if he doesn't look, I kind of got Zaslav's back for the most part, but if he doesn't see the problem in keeping Ezra Miller and getting rid of Michael Keaton, then I don't know what to tell this guy, because he's completely off his fucking rocker.
That's crazy.
Well, Miller's calling after this film, so don't worry about that.
Well, I know that, but that's not going to save this movie.
Yeah, I know.
That's not going to save any of the movies.
Yeah.
Well,
no.
Here's the funny part. When I told this on social, I said, Zaza was wondering why this film was ever made to begin with. He thought the Flash should have never gotten made, but it was made on it was on his watch. But if it was, he would have never greenlit this picture. The whole purpose of this film was to reboot the DC. Let's face it, that's the whole point of it. And then they're like, well, that's not enough of an audience draw, right? Let's bring Keaton in. Keaton will, it's basically some Batman film in disguise. Is what, they kind of pitched to that. And that didn't work either. So it's messed up. It's messed up.
Man, this would make a great documentary on how messy this whole situation is.
Oh my God!
Watch the hell out of that.
And it may
start in 1994 at Warner.
You could get a trilogy on this one, extended edition and everything.
It'd be like an Icons on Earth, a 12-part miniseries going like one episode covers every 3 years.
Well, a couple of y'all brought up some points, and I'm sorry, I kind of missed the beginning of the conversation. But I don't know if anybody mentioned this, but some of the things I hear, let me just throw this at y'all in the audience. Mikey, you might be right. There may be a macro level thing here to where they feel like this doesn't fit with what they want going forward, and this is why they don't want to proceed anymore. I can kind of get that to an extent, but the other part of me thinks it's maybe more of a microeconomic level for this film. Think about Batgirl. How popular of a character is Batgirl? Was this movie greenlit years ago in a vacuum to where they really didn't do a lot of marketing research, right? Because we've talked about this before. Did they put this movie together in a vacuum just thinking, we need a whammon superhero for the DC. Mm-hmm. We need another whammon, right? So we're going to put this out there. And when they did the focus,
that, actually.
Well, I know, but let me finish this. But I was going to say, they got these focus groups in, they did the test screenings, and it wasn't just the fact that the test screenings went poorly, it was the fact that the audience was kind of unreceptive in the sense that we don't really know who this character is, we don't really care, and they're seeing this from a standpoint of no matter what we spend on this movie to try to quote-unquote fix it, it's not going to be worth the 80, 90, 100 plus $1 million we're going to spend having to do a global marketing campaign to put this film in theaters. There's no cost recovery there. So no matter what they did, they felt like, well, the ceiling for this film at the global box office might be, $300 million, which means they're going to take home 150 of that or so. They're already $90 million into it. Can they afford to spend another $75 to $100 million marketing it? In that case, the answer is hell no.
Yeah.
So,
well, let's not forget that Batgirl originally started as a Joss Whedon film. Okay, this is before all of this trouble.
Right there.
Yeah, before all the Me Too stuff. And Warner Brothers, this is the thing that Zaslav really hates. He feels they're going back to the Batman well too often. Like bat this, bat that, because and they have so many characters they're not using to really exploit the IP. They always go back to Batman. What Batman spin-off can we do next? Because they feel that Batman has been their proven success story, right? But no one asked for a Batgirl film.
That's my point. No one asked for a Batgirl film, Mikey. That's it.
Or Supergirl.
No, if they were to do a Batman,
that's not happening either.
No, if there was like say if there was a solid Batman franchise in one of those films, Batgirl was introduced in the same way that say Black Panther was introduced in Civil War and had the same reception, then you would earn a Batgirl solo film.
Yeah.
But again, Warner Brothers doesn't think that way. But they are right, the fact that Batman is a cash cow, a strong cash cow for them. So you understand why they keep going back to that, because they're like, we will always be able to get money out of that we can invest in another IP that might offset some costs. But the problem is that they don't get the right creative forces behind it. Some people argue that it's the studio heads. Others say it's also with Michael Uslan's involvement as well. He's kind of lost his ball and focus on the character. He just signs it off to whatever and cashes his checks. Yeah, I get him. I would do that if I was in his position, honestly, at this point. And I was his age.
For a long time.
Checks.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if Zaslav says, I want to explore other IPs. My gosh, he has my phone number. Like he may have never met me, but he has my phone number. I can help him get started.
The money angle that Valiant Renegade said. And first of all, shout out to you. I watch your channel for your business and Disney talk, sir. Valiant Renegade, I should say. So appreciate that. But yeah, with the money thing was funny because Mikey, we just said this on the channel the other day. After these reshoots of Aquaman, Flash, well, Tom's gonna fight me on the Flash one, but these reshoots happen, right? And then I was like,
I'm not fighting you on it. I just wanted to know. I'm trying to figure out when, because I mean, like, they're trying to serve his ass, and if he's at work, that's the easiest place to serve his ass. I mean, I'm just saying.
Or was that story true? Like, was that embellished a little bit, right?
I think that was embellished.
Oh no, there's no embellishment about the fact that they're trying to serve him with protection orders. That's a fucking fact. Like,
if they're still looking for them, like, they need to hire me. I think I could find him. I'm just saying.
As far as we know, they have not located him yet. I mean, I would think that would be pretty big news.
But the money,
they usually have to register that shit, right? I mean, come on, that's all official.
I mean, that is true. That is true what you're saying. So with the money aspect, though, putting money, let's say they did put money into the Flash to salvage a theatrical release, right? Because that's the public reports. They want to put it out theatrically. Makes sense. Aquaman, first film made $1 billion. They want to salvage that theatrical release, right? The same time I was told about the reshoots, I said, okay, what about Batgirl? He said, no, they're not touching Batgirl.
Yeah.
Like, no talks of additional reshoots, nothing.
Yeah, because this is the first I've really heard on Batgirl. It's weird.
Yeah, I reported that actually yesterday on the channel. Again, still up to Inc. Shameless plug. Scoop Center with Mikey every Monday. But they said we're not touching Batgirl. Mikey said he heard it was a terrible film. Then today they canceled it. So
well, yeah, it's funny because my story was like, well, I heard it sucks.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, so like then let's shift to one other subject now, because I don't know if Paulie's still in the chat, but he really wanted me to ask, and I was curious about this too. Well, so have you heard anything about Blue Beetle? That's another one I have not heard much about since it's been kind of shuffled around like Batgirl a little bit, but we know they were shooting it. I think they're damn near done if they're not done shooting it now. So does this affect that film as well, or is that kind of on its own enough to where they're just going to let it be?
Yeah. It's on its own enough. Batgirl was directly attached to the Flash in that whole timeline thing, but Blue Beetle doesn't have
any of that. That's
what
I figured, yeah.
Right. Just like Supergirl. Just like Batgirl, Supergirl was directly attached. That's why that was shelved. Yeah. As far as that's reportedly, that's why I reported. And then Batgirl, so yeah.
So it's like a falling domino effect, right?
See, because that's what I was getting to originally too. Because unlike, you guys, my sources can't really confirm or deny anything about Snyderverse per se, but the vibe I keep getting is that they're not huge fans of Snyder regardless. It's just that, like certain things like Ben Affleck, they want to keep happy at Warner Brothers, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's been a lot of back and forth with him about whether or not he wants to be Batman or not. And clearly, that he's able to play games with them, play ball with them, and they're not playing games, play ball with them to come back to Aquaman. We don't know if he's getting any more of a contract. We don't know if he's coming any more after that, because he expressed very clearly that he's not interested in doing any more of these films. But him coming back like this, it's kind of a weird sign. But he also said this shit pre getting married to J-Lo and all that kind of shit. So who's to say he hasn't had a bit of a change of heart?
Oh yeah, he's happy. He's a happy man now.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm not going to say that's not a plausibility either. But what I've been hearing more so is not so much anything about Snyder, but just the deconstruction of the Hamadaverse. Period. Yeah. That's the thing that I can see more eye to eye with you guys on. Yeah, because as we know, those are the movies that all kind of started with the problems, like with Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman 84 and
bullshit,
all that kind of bullshit. And we're getting the ass end of it now. Basically, and that's what I was trying to tell people, because people are like, when are we going to see a change? When are we going to see a change? I said, well, we'll see a change. The bridge is when we hit Blue Beetle. That was the last thing that was technically greenlit under the Hamada regime.
You're right, it was. Yeah.
Once you get to Joker 2, that was from what I've heard and know, that was the first thing that Zaslav said, get that going. Because he knows that's a moneymaker and they want to get that out the fucking door. So that was a big boom, get it moving. And of course, it wasn't even, 2-3 weeks ago or a little bit more than that now, we got the whole Joker 2 is going to be a musical thing and all that kind of stuff. So that was also came to pass.
We'll see about that.
Well, right. So, and that's the thing.
See what happens. Right.
So then I guess my next point of business would be, okay, well, so what about Pattinson, right? Because that's been something I've heard back and forth on. Because see, this Mikey is, I'm curious if you, because I know you're as far as you're concerned, you've heard the Snyderverse is pretty much coming back. Because here's what I heard. The big point of contention was the Batman, even though it didn't make the $1 billion and that was a disappointment, the fact that it did as well as it did in the box office, the fact that it did as well as it did on video and on streaming, that made them think that maybe people aren't as hung up on the Snyderverse as one would like to believe. And that's also what prompted a lot of these stories recently, like the hit piece in Rolling Stone. That's at least what I was led to believe from my sources. So I'm kind of curious. This is why I'm at where I keep telling people I'm not so sure about the Snyderverse per se coming back. I think we're going to get like a DCU 2.0 kind of thing.
Well, if briefly, Mikey, I know you if you want to go on that, but with the Snyder part, one thing to keep in mind, what's keeping Snyder's name in this? It's Ben Affleck, it's Henry Cavill, it's Gal Gadot, it's all the people he cast, right? Jason Momoa, things like that. So that's keeping Snyder in the picture. What does restore really mean? It means Zack just do a couple more Justice League films, really. That's really all we're talking about here. And then they can really do whatever they want at that point. But as far as the Snyder part, but Patterson, Mikey, Tom was asking about.
Well, yeah, because we had heard Zaslav said okay, but the budget's got to go down, and you got to work on that chemistry, and it can't be 3 hours long.
Less walking scenes.
Well,
slow walking.
It's really an issue of semantics here because when I talk to my insiders, I call it Snyderverse whenever I'm on the air because that's our audience. They know what I'm talking about. But many of my insiders, they refer to it as the DCEU of when Snyder was there, what he was building up to with that franchise. Because what Hamada wanted was the total opposite. He wanted to dismantle everything. Okay, he wanted to do a pocket universe. Here, JJ, you get your pocket universe. Here, Matt Reeves, you get your pocket universe. James Gunn, Zaza wanted to pick up where they left off. Okay, and then the starting point would be the Snyder Cut, and then to build up from there. And so when I talk to insiders about restoring a Snyderverse, that's what they really refer to is picking up where the Snyder Cut left off. Now, in terms of the Matt Reeves deal, Zaza hates that deal. Okay, and the reason why is this: Pattinson can only appear in Reeves movies. You can't have Pattinson crossing over somewhere else. He hates this whole idea like no one can touch my sandbox. Like we have a Batman we can't use anywhere else. We can't really profit from this that much. We have to wait for each Pattinson Reeves Batman film to come out to fully utilize his character. And I mentioned this on Rogues Gallery a long time ago. I said Zaza wants a Kevin Feige type. I was the first person to say that. He wants the structure of Marvel Studios, not the tone or whatever. Because Zaza is not a creative person. He looks at business. And he likes the structure of the coherent cinematic universe. But you can't do that with the Matt Reeves Batman films. And so that's why Zaza was really high on Ben Affleck. Because, you can use that character and have him appear in Aquaman 2. You can have Barry Pattinson in Aquaman 2. Because...
Welcome, Andre.
Hello, Andre.
Hey.
Because Pattinson is in that Matt Reeves cage. Like, no, you're not. And then no one will let anybody. Matt Reeves won't let anybody. Won't let any director use characters from his franchise. Like, get off my lawn. Okay, and that doesn't sit well.
So
with
he's
that.
trying to pull a JJ.
Yeah. Oh, he did. He did pull a JJ. Tom, he did.
Interesting.
Well, that's okay. I don't think there are many people in the studio system that would want to use the characters in the Batman.
Well, I was going to say, is that why they forced him to make if that would make sense if that's why he had to do a different version of the Riddler so they could leave the regular version open. But other than that, I would be, if I was in that case, then why is the Joker going to be in there? Why is all these? Because why would you let him have only access to that? That makes no sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, it says Hamada. It's Hamada and Emmerich. Okay, it was their decision to make that. Like, okay, your Pattinson Batman only appears in your films. Okay, we just want you aboard and do your films. It's ridiculous.
Are we confident, Mikey? Are we confident that Reeves is going to make the second Batman film?
He will make the film. It'll be shorter. I mean, I remember I was on your show. I said there's going to be some changes with the sequel.
Yeah. Less crying from Batman. Right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, see, and that's what I was pointing out earlier too. Yeah, Mikey and I had basically heard the same exact thing about Batman too.
Yeah.
Right?
One thing that I started to hear, and I don't know how much validity is into this, but apparently there's a comic book writer and artist who pitched the plot to the Batman about 20 years ago, and he's launching a campaign for legal, basically financial, payoff or what have you. And which is weird because I'm like, if I was someone who wrote that plot, I would not want to be associated with it at all. But this guy, all props
If there's
to him.
money in it,
is his name Christopher Nolan, and is the movie called Batman Begins? Because they are pretty much the same plot. I mean,
Nolan didn't want credit on
this is an artist who wrote the.
I was joking.
Yeah,
I was joking.
I can't remember his name. He's a Chris
Wozniak. Yeah, Chris Wozniak. He's my Facebook friend.
Yeah,
he actually reached out to me.
I know that name. Chris Wozniak.
Wozniak is similar to the Apple guy, but it's not the same dude.
He used to work for DC back in the day, Tom.
I was gonna say I know him from somewhere else. Yeah,
I wanted to get more facts on that situation because I'm not sure what really happened. Yeah, with that.
Yeah, apparently, a long time ago, he met Michael Uslan somewhere at a convention somewhere, and he said, "Hey, if you have any story ideas, why don't you send them to me? I'm always interested in reading them." So he sends him this Batman plot with the Riddler, and it's strikingly similar to Matt Reeves' film. And all of a sudden, he's watching the Batman on HBO Max. I'm like, wait a minute, this is my story. And he got no credit for it, no compensation whatsoever. And I was thinking of reaching out to him and having him on our show still.
Who is this again? Or do you know the name?
Yeah, Chris Wozniak. He's on my Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
Well, unfortunately, the problem with that is he's got an uphill battle winning that fight.
Yeah.
Unless he has time-stamped, dated notes that
even then
predate Matt Reeves' involvement.
He has emails, I think, mentioning, I think Archie Goodwin had seen his pitch and other people. So yeah,
I was going to say you'd almost have to prove that certain people might have seen your pitch too, because at this point, it's that far removed, right? Yeah.
Because in Hollywood, statistically speaking, the odds of two people disconnected coming up with the same idea are actually pretty high.
I was going to say that, yeah. Especially something like this. Especially something like this, right? Because it's even loosely based on the Hush novel or graphic novel anyway, isn't it?
No.
Mm-hmm. Or not, the Long Halloween, Sorry, Long Halloween.
I say Hush. No, Riddler looks like the Hush he should have been.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Right. There was that, and then there was, I think, the Long Halloween or whatever it was. But
Long Halloween.
Pieces of it.
So it's pieces and stuff already of other comics. But anyway, Andre just came in. Welcome, Andre. We haven't had a chance to really say hello to you yet. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Exciting day. Really exciting day. And I'm very excited for the opportunities inherent in this.
Who's Andre?
I'm thinking that I've been saying for months now that whatever they do with the Flash isn't enough. The real problem is Batgirl, because that's the one that's going to be setting up the new, safer, more diverse, female-centric DC trinity of Batgirl, Supergirl, and Wonder Woman, replacing the evil, toxic men of Batman and Superman in that trilogy. And that's the whole arc that they're setting up here.
Yeah.
So my issue was that it doesn't matter what they do with the Flash. Well, it's still heading towards the course of shit that is to come. And the only way for Zaslow to fix this is to basically change track. So I've been saying the whole time, it's not enough if they were to do a complete remake of the Flash, if they were to reshoot the whole thing. It's not enough. That only shifts the problem forward to Batgirl, what to do about that. Well, this is actually brilliant, because by shelving Batgirl, that was where the real problem was. That was the point of no return. Now they're in a position where they can do reshoots on the Flash and fix everything. This is changing tracks. By shelving Batgirl, the one which is the real problem, they've shifted tracks. Now the future is open.
And possibly they already made that decision to reshoot the Flash. I'll just say that.
I would imagine so, because in the last 2 days now, we have learned that they're doing reshoots on Aquaman 2 to remove Michael Keaton from it. And now we learn of this. I mean, these are not two...
and that's what I was pointing out too, Andre, was
this is connected.
Because Sil had heard they had done some reshoots back in June, and I'm like, are you sure on that timeline? Because, or did it happen just before this blow up with Ezra? because he's been on the run or missing ever since. And I'm trying to remember exactly when we reported that. It might have been just before that, because I think I do remember us reporting something along those lines anyway, too. Like, because I remember the Batman part of it, right? That they were going to work on the ending because they had the 2 different endings. But
I know the big piece came after the reshoots. But yeah,
well, that's the thing is we always have to remember though, Sil, is like when we hear these things, it's sometimes 2-3 weeks after they've happened.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Well, look, here's
right.
the thing.
Well, I reported that a couple of days ago. Yeah.
Right. So like, but you heard in June. So like, I'm trying to think. Let me try and see
June.
when. Yeah.
Y'all just said it. Aquaman 2, The Flash, or what Flashpoint, whatever the hell the movie's going to be, or supposedly going to be with Ezra Miller.
Right.
Here's the thing: you look at those 2 movies, right?
Okay, actually,
Both
that
of them
makes sense.
have-
Sorry, Culture Valiant.
I almost called him Culture.
I did
Don't
almost call him Culture
denigrate me
because
by
I interrupted
calling
him. That's why. Because I usually interrupt Culture. The Ezra Miller story didn't come out until June 30th, so that makes sense. Still, that they shot that before that shit.
Yeah. I was going to say, when you look at terms of money in the ground, what they have sunk costs, you know, to use an accounting term, if Mike were here, he knows what I'm talking about. In terms of sunk costs, they have way more.
Sorry, I didn't. I just want to say I actually used that term in the upcoming editorial.
Well, I know. I'm sorry, Andre.
Yeah.
I know you know what I'm talking about. I'm just for the audience's sake, for out there, sunk costs is like I've already invested money in something, I can't get it back. Do I throw good money after bad or not? Can I recover this investment with an additional investment or not? And right now, if they've got 150 million plus probably in Aquaman 2, 150 million plus in The Flash, and you've got Batgirl sitting out there at 70 to 90 million dollars, and they're looking at what can we cut bait and run on that is going to be the least damaging to the bottom line, but at the same time, maybe offload the most high-risk property for us to not have to spend additional money to market into theaters. $100 million, like we said before, to put this film into theaters, basically to market it, so that we can redirect those funds, take a loss over here with Batgirl, throw it out the window, and repurpose that $100+ million it would cost for marketing and reshoots on Batgirl to fix a much more high-profile IP like Aquaman 2 and like The Flash. That's probably what's going on. That's where it's coming down. The accountants are coming in and going, this is what has to go. You want to do this? We got to do this.
Yeah. Keep in mind that Hamada is not in charge of DC Films anymore because Michael DeLuca took over in the interim until they find a new DC Studios head. Now, Alan Horn is advising now. All this happened after all this transpired. So you have to wonder. Zaz spoke with Alan Horn about this. Spoke with Michael.
Yeah. Well, he's been talking with Horn for like a month, Mikey, right? What has he been?
Yeah.
So
this is like a decision from all four people. Like, okay, let's do this. Let's kill the Batgirl.
I know Andre came in towards the end there, but the same report that told me about the potential Flash reshoots early June, they also said that Supergirl was shelved a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Now that hasn't broke out yet. Maybe that'll become official soon. And then no reshoots on Batgirl. So it's all lining up like Valiant was saying, like just okay, this stuff isn't making us money. Dump this bullshit, right? Let's fix up Flash because we already got 250 million sunk in it. That's what it sounded like.
No, what I do hope, Sil, is that this doesn't create a false narrative of future DC films having a lower budget. It's total HBO Max thing.
Right.
Which as I've said before, why are we sinking in this much money in an HBO Max movie? He was totally against that idea. I mean, if it's good enough to earn that kind of to have that kind of a budget, it should be in theaters.
But at least, Mikey, they're spending somewhere between half and 2/3 of what Disney is spending for their Marvel.
That's true.
Yeah. But
that has to catch
also
up eventually.
you already have like the narrative going out there that the reason part of the reason why this was done is because it wasn't quite cinematical enough. Because those trying to run cover for the movie are already saying, the movie wasn't bad. It just wasn't this super duper epic blockbuster.
And that's what I said too, Andre.
What's that?
And if that's the case, then just dump it on HBO Max.
Yeah.
And I even said you could even fix it by setting it in the Michael Keaton Batman universe.
unless it's detrimental to the DC brand as a whole.
Yeah.
Knowing what side enough.
Oh, and what could be more detrimental than fucking Ezra Miller at this point? That's
Since you just mentioned that, let me bring this up. Now, you say throw it on HBO Max. We know what happened in the past year with that, right? They threw these movies onto HBO Max day and date with theaters, and they had to turn around and spend, what was it, $250 million that we know of? I mean, to basically pay off the talent, the above the line folks, the producers, the directors, so on and so forth, to make them happy. Ari Emanuel, if you remember, came out and made a big deal about it at a media conference last year. Oh, we were thrilled with this because we got stroked a bunch of checks up front from Warner to buy us out of theatrical exclusive releases. If they do that here, one of two things I'm thinking could happen, and maybe Script could speak more to this, because I would think in a contract like this, there would be a clause. If a movie is going to get released, especially in the case of a guy like Michael Keaton, right? If I'm going to make the cut and it goes to theaters, I get this. If you throw it onto HBO Max, you get penalized. You got to buy me out. What happens? Is there a clause in the contract that says if we just jettison this whole thing and it never sees the light of day anywhere, then what happens?
Cost savings.
There might be a different set of terms in the contract that says we don't have to pay anything.
For a failed project that the studio doesn't back, nobody gets anything other than what they've already been paid.
There you go. That's
Here's
it. That's
the other
the
part too, though. This Batgirl was made. The contracts were initially done with the intention of it being released on HBO Max, so that deal is in play. And then I think the contracts were changed when Emmerich decided that this was going to go for theatrical, which means there's a renegotiation to it. Now that they're being a complete shelve off, you have a conflict of interest because there is an option that basically CAA, because they're the ones that represent most of the talent involved, would probably say, hey, you can't just shelve this because we still have the initial contract for an HBO Max release because the budget is still within the HBO Max release side. That's one of the things I heard is that even though Warner Brothers Discovery has shelved it, the talent behind it is probably going to lobby and might even start a lawsuit saying that you can't shelve it because the initial contract shows that there's an outlet for release within the budgetary states. We don't know what's going to happen.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
No, but if they updated it for theatrical release under that example, though, Script, I would think that usually when you do a contract renegotiation, you tend to replace the legal language of clauses like that. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't.
They probably did, but they also probably reorganized the HBO Max stuff as part of the distribution deal for after a theatrical run. So if you still have enough that original contract in there, and you still, I mean, granted, like after the contracts are signed, they're certified, they're notarized, all that other stuff is there. Unless they got basically a legal separation saying that this contract is now null and void, it can't be redone again, which sometimes studios do, but not all the time. They forget a lot.
I would think whatever they did, Zaslav chose A, the path of least resistance, but B, and more importantly, the path of least cost. So if this is what they chose, then this is what, hey, look, we can pay them $10 million to go away. That's the cheapest way to get out of this, and we're moving on.
Right, awesome. And Zaz is in cost savings mode also, that $3 billion in synergies, right? That's where you're firing everyone, canceling Wonder Twins and all this stuff.
Consolidating departments into one.
I'm just going to eat the $70 million, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Keaton, everybody was paid under that $70 million. I'm assuming if we just eat that under, if that's a contract clause, then he walks away from this, right? Just throw that in that bucket of $3 billion.
You have their representatives, their agents, the managers that publish this, which they get money paid out on points on top of the theatrical release or the distribution release of it. So they're out of money. So, and you know that they're going to fight that. That's the thing. Yeah. They're going to fight that. But the problem is that I doubt we'll hear much about it unless there's something that happened in their contracts that says that Zaslav maybe have overstepped his bounds on
it. One report, it said at least the directors, because again, maybe they would join in fighting something like that. They said that WBD wants to, detain them and use them on another project. So they probably pacified them with another project.
I would not be surprised. Yeah.
Well, and that's what I mean. Usually, at least the classic Warner Brothers was always really good about treating their talent well. And they had a long relationship with a lot of directors and actors and creators for that reason.
The only person they didn't do right by was Robin Williams.
Really, yeah, you're not wrong, Script, and that was probably more to do with the producers behind the Batman films than anything. which could possibly even be traced back to like people like Peters and shit like that.
Oh, John Peters, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like some of that bullshit could even be traced back to him. I wouldn't be surprised. And for those who don't know what Script and I are talking about, Warner Brothers used Robin Williams twice the first time to get Jack Nicholson to sign on for the Batman. They had no intention of having him play the Joker, but they just used him to get Nicholson to finally sign on. And then they did the same exact thing to him again during Batman Forever to get Jim Carrey to sign on. And after that point, he said he would never work for Warner Brothers ever again. And I don't think he did for the rest of his life, if I'm not mistaken. At least not during that regime anyway. I'd have to go back and look at his filmography, but I'm pretty sure he did not do a Warner picture for a while. But he was pretty upset and hurt by that. But yeah, so on that note, we do have some super chats we got to get through here. I hope you guys don't mind us blowing through some. We got to get them going. We got Warwolf who sent in $2 and said Metamorpho didn't shift into other people. I mean, this must have been when you guys were talking about.
Oh yeah, I wasn't using Metamorpho in the name of the character. I was using in the fact that a Metamorpho is like a changeling or a metamorphosis. So yeah. That's not the reference I was making.
Is that true, Paulie? Did she really delete all her tweets? Wow.
I do not exist anymore.
And then Mecha J says, Script has a point. Batman brings hope from darkness. Yes, indeed he does. Personal Documents says, I'm fine with getting rid of Batgirl, but for the love of God, don't let Snyder back. He hasn't been held responsible for sucking. Ruined DC beyond repair. Here's the thing, Personal, and yeah, I know Sill's taken a little bit more personally than I would like to, but I know we're just kind of goofing most of all. But like, that's my thing is like through all my sources, that's one thing I've never really been able to get them to give me a definitive answer on is Zack Snyder coming back? And I get a lot of, well, nah, they're not really hung up. They don't really like, and then the last few things I've been hearing about is their problem is that the Snyder fans just won't let it go. And it's like, well, of course not. Right? Like, what do you expect?
Well, you brought Ben Affleck back. What do you think we're gonna do?
Well, no, but to them, they're seeing it as you guys got your Justice League. What more do you fucking want? Like, that's the way they look at it. Like, that's the way they're seeing it. It's like,
well, what you're saying is that they're seeing the Snyder fans as SJWs, where it's like, oh, we want this, and then they acquiesce, and it's like, well, that's not good enough. That's
exactly. Thank you, Script. That's kind of the
vibe
I'm
compare as a SJW.
But and the reason for that is
I can give you the plot point for Man of Steel, and most people will think I'm talking about Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Because that's what it was.
But that's the thing is, and I have many friends who are Snyder fans. I have nothing against them who are, right. But at the same time, a lot of people got to understand that there was a reason these things got off course in the first place, and Personal Documents is right. And that's kind of the vibe I get is they know that people want Ben Affleck, people want Henry Cavill, people want Gal Gadot, but the big question is, do they really want the Snyderverse? And that's what I was getting to earlier about my one source was telling me about the whole Batman thing and how that really kind of fudged the waters. And that's what I was trying to tell people before is like, if you love the Snyderverse, don't go see the Batman. That's what I kept telling people. And like, are you crazy? Of course I'm going to go see the Batman. You're just a hater. It's like, no. You're not listening to me. If this movie does well, then that is exactly what they need to justify killing the Snyderverse once and for all.
Yep, you're right.
And it did well enough that it muddied the waters. Not good enough to kill it, but it muddied enough to where, like, that's kind of what I got out of it. But I know Mikey has heard different things.
Exactly,
so.
Yeah. Well, the issue with that is that they can't use that portrayal of the character anywhere else. See, Zaz,
like in a Justice League film, Mikey, right?
Exactly, they can't use it, right. Zaz is thinking big. He wants like crossovers. He wants Marvel Studios. I mean, can you imagine if Robert Downey Jr. couldn't appear outside of an Iron Man film? That's exactly the situation that you have right now. Like, you'd never see Iron Man in Infinity War Endgame. No Civil War. It wouldn't be an Homecoming. So, and that's a horrible contract that Zaz was like, this contract sucks. The Jason contract, don't get me started on that one. Like, they could use Constantine.
Performance. What about performance, though, Mike? I mean, a Batman film, right? What it do? Was 770? Someone said in the chat. I never would think I would be in the same like calendar year where a Doctor Strange film would outgross a Batman IP. Tom Cruise, Top Gun. It's going to double pretty much the box of a Batman. I just don't see that as a win, Tom. That's my point with the Batman. I don't think that was a win at all.
It's not a win.
They didn't
You're
really see it
right.
as a win
No.
either, and that's the point I'm getting at.
That's
If
why
it had
everybody's
made,
fired.
if it had made $1 billion, then it would be like there'd be no conversation.
They
right
made
now.
money. It was acceptable.
But yeah, that's
it
the
wasn't.
problem.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was just acceptable.
But it did well enough that they're like, okay, there's enough people that are not. That there's more people interested in this. My point is I guess what I was gathering is that they said that the Batman did better on HBO Max technically than the Snyder cut did.
Well,
They're close enough that to where they're like, yeah, there's
Samba TV numbers. Is that what we're going on?
Well, no, they're going by their actual numbers internally. I'm going off of what I was told, and this is what I'm saying. And like I said, I would love to hear Mikey's take on this too, because that's the thing is they're still trying to justify a reason to go back to this thing where. But you guys got to remember, BVS only made 700 some million or 600 some million dollars in the box office, right? Man of Steel barely managed to make that much too. None of these films have hit the $1 billion mark outside of Aquaman, and you can chalk that up to more to do with Jason Momoa than anything at all.
And they were still all very expensive films.
Yeah, and the only other one to do it nearly as well was Wonder Woman, and that was kind of the first movie that they started going away from the Snyderverse.
And that was one that had started off with a lot of contention because Patty Jenkins was shocked that she was not allowed to cast her own Wonder Woman, and it was
completely reshot too. Like a good third of the movie.
It's a complicated situation because I've been digging with through this for the past year or so, and let me explain to you, what the options are for Warner Discovery. The reason why they're going forward with the Snyderverse is this. Number one, let's break down how well these films did and the structure of these movies. First of all, when Man of Steel came out, it was a brand new Superman. Okay, people were still stuck on Christopher Reeve. Cavill is more popular now than ever. If Man of Steel 2 is made now, if it came out now, be like much bigger than Man of Steel because of the popularity of Cavill. Anybody like trying to be Superman is still stuck on Christopher Reeve. That was the biggest problem with the brand new Superman, was that he's not Christopher Reeve, and that film wasn't that great to begin with. It was like a remake of Superman, the movie basically. But
when it had Bryan Singer's cut hands all over it, yeah.
Oh yeah, God, yeah. Which sounds very uneasy now with all the scandals.
It was a semi-decent, interesting idea, but executed quasi very poorly.
And the most effeminate-looking Superman suit we've seen.
Yes, the suit was a big problem. It's you turn around and pick a guy who looks almost like the spitting image of Christopher Reeve, and you slap him in the gayest Superman suit ever. And that was one of the biggest points of contention. No, I'm serious. I don't mean that in like a homophobic way. I mean this in the sense that was the biggest thing they were trying to do for years, was like, how do we make Superman look less gay in the super suit? Like that was one, like John Peters said some shit that you wouldn't want, like it would be considered that would get him canceled nowadays, right? About Superman, right? Like his whole thing with Kevin Smith when he worked on that was like, I don't want him in a fucking suit because it looks too FAGG, blah, 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 blah. And I don't want him doing this and I don't want him doing that because it looks too gay. I want him doing this and that and the other so people think he's cool. We're going to take Superman back to the streets. Like that was his whole thing. So like for years they were trying to combat this, and the first thing they do is put him in this really gay suit in the Batman or Superman Returns thing, and I'm just like, what are you doing?
He was on his way to the Blue Oyster Club in police.
Exactly.
They made a bulky guy in Brandon Routh looked slimmed down and kind of scrawny with that suit. Like that's what it was designed to do, because it had a tight neck collar. It didn't have proper trunks. It had almost a man thong. On that, and then really heavy leather cape for reasons.
Too small of a shield.
Too small of a shield to make his chest, they think, looked bigger, but it didn't. It made his chest look smaller.
The way they cut the collar too made it look too feminine. You're right. Like anyway, but Andre has to leave here soon, so I didn't know if you had any final thoughts before you had to head out here, Andre. But
or just on
extremely,
he might have stepped out. I will say this: I've got to step away for 5 minutes, but before I do, I'll
step away.
I want to jump in here and say this: we have over 800 people watching right now in the live chat.
Craziness.
I need us to get to 500 likes ASAP, and I'm gonna tell you what, guys. I tell you what. If you guys out there in the chat can get us to 500 likes here in the next, I'll give you 10 minutes to do this. 10 minutes. I'm at 1927 Central Standard Time right now. 10 minutes. If you guys get this past 500, I'm buying 10 memberships to the channel to hand out.
That's what's up.
So
I thought you were going to take
get
your
it going.
hat off for the first time.
I
On
thought you were going to take the hat off.
Yeah,
or something.
nobody wants to see because there's nothing up there anymore. It's
Oh,
it's
wow.
awful. Yeah.
So we got another bald on the panel.
Oh yeah, I've been like that. The hat thing kind of just became a thing because the first video is like, oh, I love the SIG hat, and like 2 video, I'm like, well, I guess I'm wearing the SIG hat every
I
video
guess
now. So yeah.
All right.
So there we
well,
go. Get us up over 500, and I'm gonna buy some
I would
memberships here.
appreciate that. And
Awesome.
in the meantime, I'm going to read some more super chats here. We got Joe Pat 87 who says they also canceled that Scoob Holiday Haunt special. I'm not a fan of the 2020 movie, but I'm still a little disappointed. It could have worked. Well, yeah, I don't think that just means it just didn't get, like, that's the thing. That was a COVID movie, and that means that nobody even watched it on HBO Max then, I would imagine, for them to kill the sequel like that. And then Andre does have to check out, so if you had any last thoughts on the whole DC thing.
I do have a question. I'm sure it was
Sure.
addressed earlier, but since I came in a little bit late, Mikey or Sil, Affleck coming back for the Aquaman reshoots. That's cool and all. And my thought is that why would they get him back for just reshoots for this one movie if they can sign him up for more standalone movies? Do you know anything about that? Are we talking just this one cameo, or are we talking a bigger, more extensive deal here?
Now, I haven't, Mike, I'll let you take it, but I haven't been able to confirm any appearance after this. I just know his appearance in Aquaman is setting up something. If they're changing the Flash and he's an Aquaman now, I'm assuming he has a contract, but Mikey, what did you go?
I got a text message stating that they have bigger plans for Affleck in the future. I don't have the details yet, but this all leads into that with phasing out Keaton is a part of that as well. So you're going to see more Ben Affleck going forward. I just want to go back to the Man of Steel thing. I think it made reasonably enough for them to obviously make Justice League and start branching out of DCEU. I didn't like Man of Steel when I first saw it. I was still stuck at the whole Christopher Reeve thing. I liked Man of Steel when I saw it after the Snyder Cut, and I really got what Snyder was going for. I know that a lot of the people of my generation, there are exceptions to this, but people in their 40s and 50s did not like Man of Steel. Younger generation,
Right.
younger generation really got into it, and because it wasn't their Superman, it wasn't our Superman. It's a Superman for the post 9/11 generations. What it was really what it was. And then when I saw it again after Snyder Cut, yeah, I got it. But yeah, I mean, Man of Steel could have done better, but they did well enough, right, for them to continue with it. No, I take issue with Dawn of Justice because that was not the film that Snyder really made. If you see the Ultimate Edition, that's the film that should have been out in theaters. So what I'm hearing is that in retrospect, you're not really blaming Snyder for Dawn of Justice. And I wouldn't say it didn't flop, actually. It just didn't make that $1 billion they were expecting. But neither did Matt Reeves' Batman. They didn't do it either. In fact,
but Dawn of Justice had the first time uniting Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman on screen, and that should have at least garnered way more than what it did. And
well,
it didn't.
it was a better version of the film, though. See, that's the thing.
Right.
You know, it was a superior version of the movie.
That's
Story not
debatable.
The Ultimate Cut?
I think it's even worse.
Oh, really? Oh, man.
I'm not gonna. I mean, yeah, I'm not
Sorry to
gonna
feel that
side
way.
on the it's worse part, but I will
You're
just
good,
say
man.
that it's the same movie. I mean, because a lot of the stuff that's added in the
Story
BVS
wise, it's the same.
Yeah.
But here's the
Well-
thing with Snyder, though. It's not about the story. It's about the experience of how you consume that story, for lack of a better word. I mean, look at the Snyder.
Yeah, but
Cut
that's
and
like
the
George
Whedon Cut.
Lucas
It's
saying,
like-
"You're not watching what's on the picture; you're listening to the music." It's like he clearly doesn't understand.
Kind of, yeah. Kind of. Again, I'm not saying I've never said he's a great director, but I think that's like the key to getting Snyder. But anyway, yeah. Thanks for that update, because to me the interesting thing was, okay, so now we have Keaton out of one movie. That was 2 days ago. Now we know he's out of another. So that's 2 out of the 3 movies he done. Yeah. And I think that
Flash
I don't
is
even
next.
know that he's going to be in the Flash.
Honestly, I think Flash is going to get shelved, and I agree. Like, still, they probably did do reshoots in early June because all this shit blew up in the end of June. Now that I have the timeline right. So, and that's when I started hearing that, like, shit's too late now. They can't go back from this. And all the trades, they were running with this, the same thing that Variety had reported back in March. They were just reiterating it, and people started running with that as verbatim. And we did a video on that. Andre knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Where they basically, the press was running with, they're still committed to the Flash. We're like, that was before all this, though. That's what they're not catching on.
We're going to wager, Tom. We're going to have a nice wager.
I don't think the Flash is going to see the light of day. I'll tell you right now. I think it's the next to get shelved. I'll be honest with you. I'll be 100% honest with you. I don't think it's going
to be, but I think it's definitely a possibility. And that possibility.
I think it'd be a smart idea to shelve it, but I don't know. I think they're going to do that.
But I think that they're probably going to. That one they spent so much on. The real problem here in terms of going forward was Batgirl. Now that problem is done. I think that now with Ben Affleck on board again, they can do reshoots on the Flash, salvage it.
Yeah.
If need be, you know what? They can get what's his face as Thomas Wayne, what they originally set up in Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, beside that, the other issue you have though is still that with Ezra and the Miller, is it releasable? Ezra Miller in the movie.
He's done. I don't think
that's been the issue
anyway.
And that's what I'm saying is like it was bad enough before. Now they have the other accusations and problems. That's the thing.
Yeah, but like with the added money for reshoots, are they really gonna eat that much, right? Because you're talking about $300 million at this point.
No, we're not talking about $300 million. What we're talking about is the billions upon billions upon billions that they're counting on in future revenue. If they have to lose $300 billion to salvage $10 billion over the next 5 years, they're going to take that loss. Because Zaslow has already said this is his game. He's not in it for the short term. He's in it that every single DC movie comes out is going to be $1 billion movie. It's going to fund the rest of the studio. In order to do that, you can't put out this thing here is going to destroy the brand, but it costs $300 million. So what can we do? No, actually, you're in the position right now where you can
take the hit now and basically reinvest.
You can take the hit now.
Then make the proper Flash film, and then you get the hat trick with Keaton, right? You just knock out 3 films for Keaton. Like,
well, and that's the thing is you're kind of okay. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, you're right still, and they do decide to release the Flash. That's all Keaton is. Then is just a one and done flash in the pan, right? And is that enough to get people to go to the theater to see this with 3 fucking Ezra Millers in it?
And then again, it depends on again too. What did they change?
Well, exactly. Yeah, because what if
I don't think it matters what they change, but sorry, Mikey, you were saying, my bad.
Yeah, because what if the Flash becomes Keaton's endgame? Actually, they kill it off as Batman in there.
Right, that's one version of the script. His character,
exactly.
True, but my thing is like I said, like you have this issue now where you have to get rid of Ezra. Like he cannot be in this movie. He is too toxic. Like you can't have a borderline groomer in a fucking headline.
It's been kind of quiet, right? Movie. On the Ezra
Well, that's the thing that worries me the most is that it's been quiet because if they find him and there's a dead body nearby, that's it.
Okay, I assure you, there's going to be. I mean, this guy
Don't get caught with a live boy or a dead girl.
I was a troublemaker.
That was very morbid.
Well, it's true though, but
that was true, yeah. Very sadly possible.
But here's like the thing that I mean, this guy right here, he's walking up the Charles Manson school of subverting society and creating a cult. I mean, he has like his own Manston family at that
He has a
farm
farm.
already.
That's
So.
questionable.
Well, and
So
things have kind of been.
all I can say is I'm not drinking his Kool-Aid, that's for sure.
No shit, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't drink anything anywhere near him. No, like here's the thing though, and I can understand why certain things be quiet because they're investigating other people that were involved in shit on his farm, and they're looking to serve him. So at this point, a lot of it's in just kind of either investigation mode, holding patterns, whatever. So those things take time. What I'm surprised about is that we didn't hear about a dozen other like Me Too stories come out, right? Like after the fact. That was got me completely flabbergasted, is that 5 dozen other women or men didn't come out and say, yeah, he tried to do this or he threw this at me.
They're afraid, don't you know?
Well,
I mean,
the men defended themselves.
The others have said it already. They're afraid this guy who's like the gun nut is going to come and shoot them because he's capable of doing that.
That is true too. I can't deny that as a fact as well. But like, I'm just curious how that works.
I mean, this was a thing with people at the farm. They're afraid of him.
Because I mean, you already have a situation where you cannot have this kid out there selling this movie at all. You've got a movie with him in it. He's going to be all over the posters. They did clearly hide his face in that Shazam trailer.
That was hilarious. Yeah.
That was obvious as
That
fuck.
But the one they did not hide was Ben
Was
Affleck.
Batman, and
But I
yeah, that
noticed
didn't surprise anybody. Yeah,
Yeah, it made sense now. They didn't hide Batfleck's face.
And
Yeah,
it
and-
was even a shot taken not from the Whedon cut, but from the Snyder cut, which I think was.
and you
Very-
But yeah, imagine just having Ezra's face as the Flash barreling down towards the audience, because that's what the poster is going to be. It's the Flash coming at you, and with the context of Ezra Miller right now, that's just not going to work.
somebody's
They
going to
have
get
to
some
have a
kind of
logo.
PTSD trigger.
Yeah,
Or if
exactly.
it dies down, like Zazzle, they've been putting those feelers out there, like, well, if this dies down, we'll release it. So it's still next summer. Just saying. Still.
I mean, that's
still
going to be
another
like the audience reaction to that poster of Ezra running towards them. It's going to be, oh shit, flee, run.
year. I wonder. We need to find out who saw the screeners of this, because like if the feedback is bad for Ezra Miller, I mean, I think they would take that into account. So I think they took that into account for Mara, for Amber Heard. So we'll see. We'll see if it's really, the audience, is going to decide this.
But
All right,
really have
chat,
to
you
drop
missed the
drop
mark
out
by
there.
about 45 seconds for the 500 likes, but you got there. So we just gave out 10 more memberships here on Midnight Heads After Dark. So now you didn't miss it by much, CC Karaoke. It was only by, I was looking at the clock. It was less than a minute. So I'm like, yeah, we're gonna, judges ruling on the field. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna
Meet
go
you
ahead and call
halfway.
it. Yeah. So
Oh, buddy, you
good
did it
job,
anyway.
Chad. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you so much, Valiant. You did not have to
But,
do that. But thank you.
Zazzle
Like I said,
didn't
you
want,
look at him at halfway. Sorry, Mikey. Go ahead.
he didn't want to restart the whole DC thing with new people and new actors and everything. That's one of the things, like, hey, we can either pick up where we left off and start from scratch. What if that fails as well? Okay, and he didn't want to take that gamble.
That's my point exactly. I mean, look at the Terminator franchise.
Oh God, that's perfect example right there.
Well, you also have the other side of it too, where superhero movies in the past, before Marvel, you could kind of just go into another sequel and things just kind of go the way they need to go. Batman being a prime example, where especially between even Batman and Batman Returns, the only thing that really connects those films is the actors.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're such a tonally different films that you could even watch Batman Returns as an original, its own film. Like it doesn't really have any connections with the first film. You don't need to see it outside, because as long as you know who Batman is, you're good to go.
Yeah, there's only one line mention of Vicky Vale, and that's it.
Yeah, just one throwaway line, exactly, and it's
Kim
kind of funny,
Basinger,
and that's a throw.
Basinger.
The best thing is
Basinger.
it's a nod to the audience.
Family Guy joke script.
Okay.
And the best part is,
I can't get a single update on the Schumacher cut. Nothing. It's just complete silence. Like nobody's telling me. No one knows anything.
Or air either. I mean,
Some things are best left kept in the dark.
and
like
that's the thing.
Schumacher Cut.
The air cut, from what we've heard from people like Script and just in general things that we know, is not going to be what a lot of fans think it's going to be either, if they get it. And it'll be likely one of those things I see them dropping on HBO Max at some point here.
totally.
But I'm not so sure it's going to be the big different thing that they think it's going to be like the Snyder Cut was.
Probably not.
That's fair, yeah. So that means you kind of like the Snyder Cut. That's I'm glad you said that, Tom.
Well, no. What I'm
like
saying, no, I mean, what I'm saying is I don't think people are going to be as fulfilled by the Ayer Cut as they were by the Snyder Cut being a different experience. Is my
fair,
point.
Very fair.
Regardless. What also sucks is that I really have to drop out now.
Yes.
I just want to say thanks to the panel and see you all around.
Yes, release the haircut.
I do need a haircut.
I don't have any hair, so I'm all for that. Take care, Andre, and thank you for being here. Trenchman says, I'm in need at Batfleck and Burton Bat 3 films. Those will make Warner actual crap loads of cash in good faith. Well, see, there's the funny part was, before Zaslav came into the picture, when it was still Kalar, the rumors we were hearing out of it, and I think Mikey heard similar stuff, was that they were trying to get Burton on board and bring in Michael Keaton to play a Batman Beyond role. And then that morphed into the Batgirl project.
Well, Hamada did not like the Batman Beyond project, which...
I really hate Hamada. My God.
It's his baby.
We both agree on that. He's absolute trash. I actually like Beyond. That was a really great cartoon.
He didn't feel there was enough of a following for Batman Beyond, and he thought the concept was too weird. Which
Are you kidding me? That son of a bitch said that.
Look who it is, Culture.
How can you play Guillermo del Toro from Justice League Dark? Like before he wins his Oscar, they fired him. Because the script is too weird. Give me that script. I want to read it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. To get Guillermo del Toro to do anything, you need a sandwich and about 5 years of patience.
Why are you begging
because he just takes forever to get anything done. And if he's actually on board to do something and he seems like he's interested, then you should take that and run with it, because chances are he's going to lose interest pretty goddamn quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has a script,
but he's patient.
He is somebody who is like he's gonna move on to something else. Look what he did to The Hobbit.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and and J.J. Abrams, man, he got to deal with a lifetime. Just sit on his ass, and
I think he's next. The chopping block, Mikey.
Yeah, he is.
I think we're gonna start hearing those leaking out that Black Superman project.
I think we've already kind of heard that's been because
it's been floated out there. Yeah.
Well, we're under the understanding that big deal consisted of delivery, right?
Yeah, it is.
So, and they've only delivered like I think 3 or 4 things, and that's it. And none of them
very
have been
tiny things too.
Exactly.
Didn't they shop those scripts? The ones.
And I think 2 of them were before they even had the deal. I think somebody had pointed out to me.
Insane. Get that guy out of there.
So yeah, I mean, no, they gave him the deal completely on the idea, and Mikey and I both heard the same thing, which is hilarious. And I know it makes no sense to anybody, but this is why I use this as an example to tell people how crazy people are in Hollywood. They wanted, I quote, JJ to do for DC what he did for Star Trek,
which is destroy it.
Destroy it. Yeah, good job.
Well, Hamada JJ would be the right-hand man.
Guy.
Actually, I can't remember which version of us heard which version now. That's the problem. One version just was Star Trek. The other version was Star Wars and Star Trek.
It was for me. It was Star Trek. They wanted to do.
Then I heard Star Wars because at that time you got to remember he had also made the biggest movie of all time with The Force Awakens. So that makes a little bit more sense. But yeah.
And I was like, what do you do for Star Trek?
And did it?
Earned a lot of money. That's what he did for Star Trek.
Yeah.
Well, for one movie, then they started going down the drain after that.
Well, 2 movies actually made a little bit of money. We'll say that much, and that's about it. Trenchman says, I'm going to need Batfleck. Oh, we got this one already. Sorry, but thank you, Trenchman. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever get Burton back in that game, but you never know. Never say never. You never know with Burton.
So, isn't it weird that Zaslav's coming in and canceling the ladies?
Uh-oh.
That's
no,
like
it's not
what,
weird
right?
at all. We kind of predicted this was going to happen.
I was,
Or
you know, I
we
was
actually
trying
kind
to,
of half-ass reported that it was going to happen.
I was trying to pop a political.
I know you're being
point.
facetious. Here, does this make you feel? Here, I'll give you this.
No, I thought you were going to play the "I freaking knew it" clip.
Oh well, okay, I can do that.
I fucking knew it.
Thank God I was muted because I had 2 women in my house screaming at me, "Dad, there's a roach in the kitchen."
Oh God, no,
Better than a bat.
Well, it's better than being in the living room.
Because
Yeah,
a bat you got to chase around.
I got a question. Do they fly?
Yes, this one
Bats
did.
fly,
They
and
fly
roaches
now.
don't,
Oh
yes.
yeah, dude. If
They fly now.
Dude, I'm from New
is it a-
Orleans.
was
Everything
it-
flies down here that you
Yeah.
don't want.
Yeah, I
was
like what
gonna say,
Action Com says.
It was a
here.
palmetto, right? It was a big old palmetto.
No.
Not quite that big.
Oh, all right.
When I was in the
She said-
Philippines, when I went back to the Philippines in '84, to my shock and horror, those fuckers flew, and I had no idea. It was big as my hand,
Well,
right?
Filipino cockroaches are probably a whole different breed. Right?
Well,
Yeah, they've thrown guns.
It was big as my hand. I thought the Japanese.
That's what I'm
beetles-
saying. Those motherfuckers probably bite your head off.
Dude,
One attacked me. One attacked me because I killed another roach. Probably his
Oh,
partner.
shit.
Yeah.
Started dive bombing on me. You know, like what?
That's got to be.
And that's
some
one of the reasons
cockroach.
why I'm not so sure I can say Jaws the Revenge is a bad movie. But anyway, Action Com says, hello,
Yes, you can.
Batgirl
You can't say it. Yeah.
movie. Let me introduce you to The Day the Clown Cried. You have a lot in common. Yes, you do.
wow.
Klobby, what were you saying?
Earlier, yeah.
What were you saying, Klobby?
I'm just saying you can say Jaws of Revenge is a bad movie. You're fine.
You
saying it.
can, but if you stop and think about it, I can't remember where this was. I argued myself into a corner and had to admit it was the greatest sequel of all time. And I wish I could find that podcast because I don't know how fucking stupid
Wow.
drunk I had to be to get to that point because I wasn't drunk,
Wow.
that's for sure. So I was stupid drunk. But anyway, Wolverine626 says, with Batgirl reportedly shelved, what are the odds Blue Beetle is next? Well, we covered this a little bit, but I don't think that's within the purview enough to where they'll worry about that.
No,
It'll probably still go to
They'll probably
HBO
let it
Max,
go.
but
yeah,
we'll see.
It's safe.
It seems like it would be a home run for them. You know, that kid's pretty popular.
Now,
Yeah,
the Flash,
I'm actually looking forward to that. Yeah.
I feel like the Flash is in the frying pan right now.
Ooh, yeah.
I think it's Zaslav's kitty cat of movies, and I think it was shelved right alongside Batgirl, but we just don't know it yet.
Let me reread the
so
article.
you're saying it's Schrodinger's or Zaslav's movie? Schrodinger's box.
Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna make that work.
I tell you
Schrodinger's
what,
box.
if you ever get word of the Flash being shelved, I'm gonna wake up early in the morning so I can be a midnight sage.
Cat.
That's gonna be the worst gentleman's
I'm
bet
gonna
I
hold
ever
you
lost.
to that, Mikey, because for those who don't know, we have tried to get Mikey on Midnight's Edge in the morning. I don't know how many times, but he's like, dude, that's too fucking early. Like he doesn't say the F word, but like
I'm like, what? 11 o'clock in the morning? What the hell?
he's like more like can't sleeping.
exactly. That's it.
I understand he works late too, so it's like okay,
Perfect
man, I
time
get
now.
you.
I'm like, okay, you know.
Well, plus where you're at, it's even earlier for you, so
Yeah.
that I can understand. But like, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I think the Blue Beetle is safe. The Flash, on the other hand,
Safe.
I don't know. Beep bop boop. We'll see. I will take. We'll have to figure out what we're betting there, Sil. Because
Yeah, we have to wager something. Yeah.
We'll have to
Gotta
come up
wager
with something.
Gotta wait.
Buy a pizza. Maybe we'll buy one or the other a pizza or something. There you go.
Yeah, we rub up something. Yeah.
Beep bop boop says, under Zaslav, do you think Warner Brothers could have become the first studio to start making consistently good movies again? It has the potential. It has a lot more potential to swing that ship
Well, then,
a lot
yeah.
quicker than Disney does.
Yeah, Disney.
Ask us again in
lost.
2023 at the
But
end
yeah,
of 2023.
I think Script is right. But see, here's the other thing. Script has also been pointing out, don't expect any big changes until 2023, 24, 25, somewhere around there.
Yep.
I think you're right, though. I think that Warner will be the one, if we do see any changes, it will be first. But I got to remind people, just because people are saying, like Chapek is even going out there and saying they're trying to take the company less political. Same thing with Zaslav. That does not mean less progressive. That just means a little less woke. So don't expect they're going to stop some of these things.
No,
just hopefully they're
exactly.
going to be
Well,
handled
I believe
a lot better.
Zaslav,
You
though.
said
I
the same
believe
thing
when
about
Zaslav
Disney.
says it. Yeah,
Well,
and
here's the
Disney
thing
wish
is-
they had Zaslav right now.
Here's the funny thing about him bringing in this new diversity officer over at Warner Brothers, unless that's something they have to have. I don't know about that part. I mean,
like a
Script-
law, some bullshit law.
No.
that could very well. I would say Script might know better than me, or you guys might know. But Because outside of that, like, and Alan Horn is kind of questionable to me to a point, but that's a whole nother conversation. I agree. Zaslav, from what I know of him, because I know somebody who knows him, let's say, and they've said he's a pretty basic, straightforward family guy. He believes in pretty traditional values. Sure, he's in this diversity group thing and all this other stuff, I guess, but a lot of those guys in Hollywood are. So I'm willing to give him more of the benefit of the doubt before I am Chapek, let's say. But I'll wait and see what's up with Chapek, but from what I've heard from the Chapek side of things and everything like that, I don't know. He's got a big problem over there. So.
He does, but you got to remember, and like I tell folks that you know that tune into this type of data, and that is that David Zaslav is in a very, very different position than Bob Chapek.
Yeah. Actually,
David Zaslav was given an amazing amount of autonomy. He was basically able to start over from scratch, kind of do whatever he wanted to do within whatever contractual confines that he had with that Reverse Morris Trust spinoff from AT&T, and John Stankey cast it out, merged it with Discovery. Chapek is coming in to take over an already moving ship. Zaslav has been given the keys to creating a whole new boat. So it's a very different dynamic from what he can do, because remember, Zaslav was able to walk in there after this merger, after the Reverse Morris Trust. They put everything together, and he kind of had a lot of power himself, maybe either directly or indirectly, to appoint the board. So everybody there is on the bench with him.
Yeah, so, everybody's rowing the boat the same direction. And that's really important. And you're not wrong. I mean, but his biggest ally, and I know you know this, VR, but his biggest ally is John Malone, who is the money. He's the whole reason that thing got spun out as Reverse Morris to begin with. You know, and Malone is a big fan of Zaslav and everything that he's done, because he's been leading his company for a long time.
Yeah, so. And Tom is right.
Oh crap!
Tom's not right.
I hate it when he says that and then he fucking zones out on me.
Now he's back. Okay.
What am I right about? Damn it. Casey Spence here. Cheese is good. I know that.
You know what? I forgot what I was going to say. Never mind.
No. Wait.
No, what I was going to say was Tom is right in the sense that you're still going to get the quote unquote progressive stuff versus woke. I think that's a great way to say it, Tom. And that is that you're still going to get some things in the sense that if we can make a show like on Discovery Plus where they did the trans kids or whatever there was, or, it's like, okay, look, we can sink $20 or $30 million into producing a reality show like this because there is a market segment.
Do you think they really spent even that much?
Probably not.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think so.
$10 million or $5 million.
That's even probably high.
It might be, but
we got Tyra Banks, right?
Well, Script would know better than us, but yeah.
They're making $7 of ad revenue average per user.
Yeah.
So they know they have a market out there. Hey, look, if we can make a show, a very low budget show that caters to this audience, even though it might not be everybody's cup of tea. Right. Okay, but there is a segment out there that will watch it. And advertisers will have a base of clientele there that they want to reach, and it works. That's fine. The difference is when you spend $150 million or $200+ million making a massive project that caters to this audience that in turn might drive out the normies that are out there. That's when it fails. And there needs to be a delineation in everybody's mind, as far as there is a cost benefit analysis, right? Yep. What am I going to spend versus what can I expect in return? If I'm going to do X, I need to get Y. The problem with Hollywood right now is they just keep wanting to do X with no regard to the cost
with
and
no
fuck
audience.
the Y.
Right. Well, and that's the truth, because as he points out, because the ARPU is so high, they're their most profitable streaming service out there, and Zaslav knows what he's got, and he already said, walking in the door, we are going to be cutting budgets, we are going to make quality, we are not going to spend a ton of money on it.
Yeah,
that's what you're going to get. And you know what, and we all talk about it here in our little circle about the fact that this dude, if he doesn't like something, bye. See ya. You know, or I'm going to retool this entire show, or I'm going to change all this stuff.
If this shit can't make money, it's gone.
Yeah, it's a wrap.
Girl. That's it.
Wonder Twins.
Mikey's got to leave us in a couple of minutes here, so I'm going to try and grab the couple super chats that are directed at him. Personal Documents wants to let Mikey and Sil know that you don't understand if Zach gets bored or dies, which I hope he doesn't die anytime soon. Most of these Snyder fans will jump ship. Just tell Matt Reeves to use Lex to develop Patterson, BW as a competitor to rebuild Gotham.
I was so jumpy. You said Snyder, Tom. No, I was playing. But no, the Snyder part again. People got to realize when we say restore the Snyderverse, we're just saying Zach, make 2 more Justice League movies. That's all. They can do whatever they want to do. Like it's not taking over the whole keys to the kingdom. We'll accept that. So just people got to realize that we're not.
Yeah. And then the other question was from Mecha J, and I think we kind of covered this, but you can go ahead and give a better answer to it. Mike wants to know if there's any updates on Michael B. Jordan's Superman movie, even though this is one we haven't heard too much on at all.
You know what? I'm glad this was brought up because I haven't heard anything since a few months now, right? So
he kind of walked away from it, didn't he, Mikey?
No, I mean,
I don't know about him walking away.
They have the writing team from Creed 2 attached to it. No,
I was going to say, I mean, he has been working on Creed 3, so that's one thing that's probably why he's been busy.
That back to next month.
But I don't know did you hear the same thing I did, Mikey? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Of this happening, let me J.J. Abrams one.
Yeah, this is different from, and that's what I was just
about to say. Valzad.
Because did you hear the same thing I did? That even if this doesn't happen, the whole reason this got greenlit is because the Warner Brothers wants to be in the Michael B. Jordan business, basically. So even if it doesn't happen,
for him, and there is such a lack of faith in the J.J. Abrams. I don't think they'll ever get made. Like they haven't flat out announced it yet. I'm sure that'll be the next one to be like, we shelved that J.J. Abrams. So
Michael B. Jordan turned down J.J. Right? Didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he did. Yeah. Because he felt Jordan feels that they should not do Black Superman. If you're gonna do one, do Valzad.
Do Valzad, yeah.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of. I knew there was some kind of contention point with him. It was like, I don't want to be, a Tolkien remake character.
Yeah, that was my understanding of the situation. Yeah.
Well, they like I said, as far as I know, last thing I heard on it, it was back in March. They were in the process of writing the script.
Yeah.
So, it's the last thing I heard.
That's probably the last thing out there. Yep. Not a lot of faith in a lot of these projects. I'm just saying, until
of them all, I think that would be the best one. It's also a series. That's not going to be a film. That's going to be that'll be on HBO Max, right? So that's going to be
budgeting. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
Plus, I think it's a good character for a change.
Yeah, Valzad would be a slam dunk. I feel, with the right team with it. Come on, Michael B. Jordan, he can sell an audience. I think.
Yeah,
I think he's awesome, right?
Yeah, I think that should be a shoe-in, but we'll see. DC fandom, we'll see.
All right. Well, those are the ones that were basically directed at you directly, Mikey. So I know you had to head out here. Was there anything else you wanted to say before you head out?
Yeah, I have this very important business meeting tonight, which maybe I'll be able to announce what it's all about. It's just I gotta prepare for it. But thank you, Tom, for letting me come on the air. Scoop Center every Monday.
Monday.
We cause trouble mainly for DC.
We take off other scoopers. That's basically what we do.
we like to trigger other scoopers,
Well, here's one thing I can say about Snyder fans versus non-Snyder fans. The one thing we can all agree on is the Hamadaverse is not working.
Oh, it's terrible. I think
that's what brings us together, Tom. That's what brings us together. But
I'm convinced the only reason Hamada is still around is just in case Zaslav needs somebody else to fire. Yeah.
All right, it's like I'm feeling down today. I can fire. Yeah, let's fire this guy. Right? Let's get rid
he's
of
got
this
two
guy.
movies that aren't shelved yet coming out.
Yeah,
still.
That's the other thing too that I know that it's part of the reason he's probably around still. But because he could save his own ass, but it's doubtful.
I didn't get a chance to talk about Black Adam, but maybe next time we'll discuss.
Was there anything really major about it?
I guess technically.
Well, I mean,
other than you guys are pretty confident that Cavill's going to be in it. Yeah, I mean,
the one major thing in Black Adam is Cavill's going to show up. Post credit scene. Yeah,
I want to believe you guys.
We got a bunch of scoops here, but anyway, thanks guys for letting me come on board. Have a great evening, and we'll see you later. So I'll see you. See you guys.
Take care,
Mikey, and everyone. Again, I'm gonna bow out too. But
all right, well, thank you,
so. Channel. Still up to a week. Fun
Take
stuff.
care,
we'll talk again, Tom. Valiant, great stuff
Yes.
you're doing. Script, culture, collaborating. Nick
Thank you.
Weiser.
Take care, man.
Pleasure to meet you,
Cool
sir.
chat.
Take care.
Right now.
Good talking to you again.
Thanks.
All right, so let's get to the rest of these super chats here. We got Warwolf. So Ezra Miller accidentally saved the Snyderverse.
That's a good joke.
Kind of. I guess you could make that argument. I'm not gonna try and.
Based on the reports we heard today, it's a movie that he screws up the timeline and then fixes it to where everything's back to where it was at the beginning of at the start of the movie, which essentially is a waste of your time as an audience member. So
the movie's one big goddamn it, Barry. Gotcha.
What they say will not be what actually plays out though. It'll probably actually be even more damage when you actually see it play out. Because they say it's gonna fix it, but once we actually see reality kick in, we're like, oh, they just damaged it even more so. It won't be a repaired timeline.
And I wanted to get to this while Mikey was still here, but I didn't get a chance to interject it. But the timing of the ending of the Arrowverse is also kind of surprising as well.
Yeah.
Because we thought for sure that if anything, that at least let that stuff live on HBO Max because it's fairly popular. Not like over the moon popular, but it has a fan base.
It's the most popular Arrowverse show.
Well,
instead of just being the only Arrowverse show now.
No. I mean, like all of it's done. It's done. They announced officially that the entire thing is done. And I knew earlier on that The Flash, this was going to be the last season, even though they just announced it this last week, or just a couple days ago.
13
actually.
Episodes. Yep. Just like
and
with
I knew this. Yeah.
Stephen Amell's thing when he said he wanted out, they just said, okay, we'll give you 13 episodes and that's it.
I knew this was going to happen because he was only going to be in a few episodes and I'm like, yep, that's it. And then I had heard, it's done. So that to me tells me that this means they're trying to do a more unified television and movie thing for DC as well. So
well, Berlanti was really upset about this because when he got the first 5-year deal for The Flash, he was already in the process of negotiating another 5-year deal because he wanted to have a 10-season show that's ended with the big controversy that the Flash pilot first leads off with, which is that the Flash mysteriously vanishes in 2025, and now he's not going to have that. And the scuttlebutt is that he's pretty upset that he's not able to do this massive thing, even though he hasn't really been involved with the Flash for the last 6.5 years.
Nice. I don't think too many people are going to miss it though overall, but I do know it has its fans. I'm not going to say it doesn't. So for those who are going to miss the show, I'm sorry to hear of your loss. But for the rest of us, it's another day that ends in Y.
Are you though?
I feel bad for people when they get upset. I mean, just because I'm not a fan of something doesn't mean it's not somebody's favorite show or movie.
Oh no, that's true. That's true. It's just at one point it did have a pretty sizable fan base, but then
woo. And I mean the Flash, like Script Doctor's right. Of all the shows, that still does actually have a big enough fan base to where, let's say, they can get shit going on Twitter and stuff, for instance. Right? And they made a big enough noise about getting Grant Gustin recast as the Flash to where Warner had to even at least respond to it.
Did you call him Gustin?
Yeah, I don't know how to say his fucking name.
Gustin.
Gustin Gustin.
He's not German.
I don't fucking know.
Listen, just because he's musical doesn't mean he's part of the Sound of Music.
There you go.
I don't know. I usually like to give people fancy fucking sounding names.
No, I mean, well, here's the thing. Like, the Flash has such a following that they got that because one of their actors who's actually reviving the show, I guess said something on social media 9 years ago, he got fired because the Flash fans didn't like him.
I think it's more French anyway. That's
I remember that. Elongated Man.
Yes, the guy who played the elongated man, who's like the breath of fresh air in that series.
Then they canceled him.
And then
he's not.
The Flash fans themselves canceled him. Yeah,
over tweets,
which is very ironic because that show was always talking about how they need to give people redemption and a second chance, and here they were canceling the hell out of him, and he dropped off the face of the planet. Like, I actually looked up his Instagram recently, and he has not posted since that whole incident. He's not posted once. I was like, holy crap, this guy like vanished from the planet, because it's just really insane how they handle that situation. Like, and Candace Patton, they have dug up many tweets of her from when she was younger. Not that it even matters, but it just shows you where the double standards. She has said some rotten things herself, like really rotten. And I don't think they should call for her to be fired either. But all I'm saying is, once again, the inconsistencies.
The hypocrisy of the entire production of that show is mind-boggling.
Oh man, so much for heroism. We have people who, once again, the people who work on the DC movies and shows are like the boys. It's like the show The Boys, but in real life.
They're vaught
heroes on screen. They're vaught. They play heroes on screen, and then when they're behind the scenes, they are absolutely terrible to each other. And little nits and nibbles come out in the open about how crappy they are behind the scenes, just like in The Boys. We're seeing it play out in real time. And with that,
did anybody notice that Stephen King looks like the Crypt Keeper now?
Yeah,
it was really weird today.
The flesh is literally falling off
for a while.
Thought he looked like a lesbian bookstore owner.
Okay, well, same thing. I mean, it just was weird watching him walk into court to testify in this Bertelsmann deal. So, wow, dude, you're freaky. Hey.
He's getting decrepit.
His brain is about that addled as well.
Yeah.
No, I didn't read this one. Smith Self says, honestly, if you bring in Keaton as an old Batman, why not do a Batman Beyond adaptation? Well, I don't know if you sent this before.
Because Bruce Wayne is Batman and Terry McGinnis isn't.
And they had initially wanted to do something like that with Keaton.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out, and that kind of morphed into the Batgirl project when Whedon was booted off of that.
Which is funny because Whedon pitched Batgirl when he lost Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Well, and then as Mikey said earlier, yeah, like the powers that be, Hamad at the time was not a fan of the Batman Beyond story, according to him. So that is probably the reason why. But you never know what could happen now. Nightwish fan says, did DC Warner Brothers wish upon a monkey's paw to get Michael Keaton back? Every project he's in has been a disaster. I know, right? Like, they tried. That's what I said earlier too, Nightwish fan. I'm like, they did, like, it's like they moved heaven and earth to get Michael Keaton in these movies. And now basically they're fucked. They're removing him from Aquaman. One of the movies is shelved, and the other one at this point, as far as I know, we have no idea. But
it's pointless, actually. The Flash is now
pointless. It's kind of pointless. That's my whole thing.
It's Flash pointless now. It's no longer Flash.
Flash pointless. It always was to begin with. It was just the Flash movie starring Batman. But, you know, it's now they've actually made it even more pointless. I mean, that's
the thing
is, no one's talking about Ezra Miller besides his crimes. No one's saying, hey, I can't wait to see where Barry Allen's story goes. It's all about Batman in the Flash movie. Oh man, that's a terrible thing to be a Flash fan and to see that.
Yeah.
Like,
well, if Ezra Miller were the nicest guy in the world, he's still a garbage casting for Barry Allen.
An
idiot would cast him as Barry Allen anyway. So, and an idiot did cast him. So,
yeah,
I felt the penny drop.
But no, I hear you. I totally hear you on this. It makes no sense, and it does feel like they're cursed in some way in this respect. But no, I think Script made this point. I don't know if he made it on the show itself, but I know he made it in the background. Basically, that Zaslav is somebody who's not afraid to kill a project. As I've always pointed out, he is not afraid to throw the baby out with the bathwater on anything if he doesn't feel like it's working and start all over. So to me, it makes absolutely no fucking sense to still set up Supergirl and Batwoman and all that kind of shit and all that kind of stuff. Because it's the Flash is where Supergirl gets set up. If that movie's shit can, then what? Like,
what's
Script's
the point?
right. it's completely Flash pointless at this point to even have the movie in general. And you're going to lose so much money putting it out in theaters because that means you got to spend another X amount of money on advertising and stuff.
There's that, but again, like one of the things they have saved is the fact that Supergirl hasn't even gone into proper development, so they haven't even spent much of any money on it. So they saved themselves several $1 million there, but they've lost their 70 to 90 million with Batgirl, and who knows what's going to happen in the coming months with regards to the Flash. It's still up in the air, and yes, anyone is welcome to use Flash pointless. Just please credit me.
I was called it Flesh Point, but I think I like your
Flesh Point. That's a little different movie that Ezra's involved in.
Wow.
Like an early 80s Skinaflex.
I'm going to throw a chair at that bitch and I'm going to fuck this dude.
Tom just came up with the plot.
That's what it's about. Pat G says that's what he's making. We think he's crazy. He's actually literally making a movie all this time. He wasn't kidding. It's just an NFT movie.
He's pulling a Joaquin Phoenix, like just living in reality with that.
You guys don't understand my art. Pat G says there are no more Hamada burgers on the grill, only stinky leftovers that David is throwing out. Or throwing away, yes. The Flash is now the coldest sack. Ironic, isn't it? And yeah, at this point, I don't see any reason to. Unless you're so committed to certain deals that can't be broken. Like, to me, I see the more sense in where Zaslav's going with this. If it's like, fuck it, don't finish this movie. I know we've spent almost 100 million on it, but kill it. As far as the Flash goes, I know we've reshot it a couple times now. Kill it. There's no sense in spending any more money throwing good after bad, as Andre likes to say, when, you know, you've already done it. And at this point, if Zaslav wants to get either back on track with something like a Snyderverse or some kind of new version of it, then just do it. He has that power. And at this point, it makes more sense to get more people back in the theaters than continue down this road of making the DC universe worth less.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I figured, you know, script or something I had something to add to that, but I guess not.
No, you said it best.
All right, Douglas says Warner Brothers needs Superman back ASAP. Cavill's in great shape, and Hollywood Magic could give him a 10-year stint. Give Keaton a Batman Beyond film. Well, that's the thing, and I don't think the point of contention with Cavill's situation is the age factor so much, even though that's one of the things that's being pumped out there. I've been hearing it's more availability. He's
got The Witcher he's doing. He's also doing Highlander, and that might be a franchise. So, and again, you're looking at a 2.5 to 3 year turnaround for a Superman movie. That's a lot to demand out of an actor who's rising up financially to the point where he's going to be a bit too expensive to really invest in.
Right.
Warner Brothers is more on the side of making stars as opposed to recruiting existing ones for high franchise products.
And the beauty of Ben is he's kind of already an in-house talent, and he does more directing than acting, it seems like, anymore. So
yeah, he has a far longer and detailed relationship with Warner Brothers.
Yeah, so I'm sure that he can work something out to where working in some Batman appearances is not as big of a deal for him and Warner Brothers, because they'll make it good on him with, you get your little pet project here, your little deal there, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. To where Cavill, we already know there was a big point of contention between him and the previous regime, and people got to remember, Hamada is still technically there. Now, I believe he has probably no power, and he's probably sitting in his office cowering every day, just waiting for the phone call to come in to say, Mr. Zaslav would like to see you in his office.
I think Hamada reminds me a lot of Kif from Futurama. And I think Zaslav might be the Zap Brannigan to him right now, just messing with him.
That's just it, right? Because the only logical reason anybody, and I mean anybody even on this panel in the world, can probably even think that you would keep him around after you got rid of Toby Emmerich and Ann Sarnoff, is that he's got a cunt hair of a chance, maybe, of actually saving his job. But at this point, that's going out the fucking window, because all these movies are done. right? Like, so, I mean,
So yeah,
he
you've
has,
got Black Adam, which is coming out. So if that doesn't perform, that puts Hamada back a step. Aquaman 2, if that doesn't perform, that's another one. And if who knows what's going to happen with the Flash, that's his third strike and he's out under Zaslav's regime. Because again, Hamada came in after Justice League, so he's never actually worked with Henry Cavill on a DC property yet. So I mean, there's a big separation between those two. So yeah, Zaslav's keeping him around for a couple of reasons. One, to see how he performs because he already knows the job. And two, if he doesn't perform well, he's got a whole list of things of what not to do that he can tell the next guy that comes in after Hamada's fired.
I'm trying to find the super chat from Kareen we missed.
I think it was the last one you just highlighted, and then you went to the one. I think it was like for $5. It was something about Ben Affleck.
You sure it was Kareen and not somebody else?
It could be. Maybe it was someone else, but it was about Ben Affleck. It was literally.
I'm pretty
right
far
before
back now, and I'm not
Here,
seeing anything.
I'm gonna go on the YouTube feed. I'll scroll back to where.
Okay. Yeah,
it
because
was
I don't want to
Kareem.
miss it.
Yeah, it says. I could just read it.
Go for it, please.
Kareem
Thank you.
for $4.99. Thank you, Kareem. Says Ben does not look happy. Look at pics on his honeymoon. And before Tom chimes in, I'm gonna chime in saying, J-Lo says her love doesn't cost a thing, yet her divorce record says otherwise. So I can see why he's already miserable.
I haven't seen him looking miserable. Most of the pictures I've seen him, he looks pretty happy, and especially he looked nice and tan and healthy in that pic with Jason Momoa.
He did,
which is a big difference.
I'd be happy hanging with the bros too.
But
well, that's
I have
probably
not
makeup.
Oh yeah, but I still haven't seen those pics, so I can't comment on that. But thank you for that, Kareen. Sorry, I must have missed that. So I'm still not seeing it. I'm going way back up in the feed here. I don't know where I missed it, but thank you for catching that for us, Nick.
All good.
And then we got Werewolf again, who says, much as I like Batman Beyond, I have to be honest, it's a ripoff of Spider-Man 2099. Yeah, that's what I was saying before too, is I'm not a big fan of a lot of these future stories, new versions of characters anyway, but I do understand that, like Spider-Man 99, Batman Beyond does have a very large following. And for Hamada to think it doesn't is he's a moron, right? Even I see that as a win-win for the fucking crowd in the studio, right? I know it has a fan base, so
yeah, it does. And I mean, again, I'm with you. It was an okay show and everything, but look how many people tonight. I know this is not a microcosm. Look how many people tonight would like to see that. You've heard it for years. So many people saying they would like to see something done with Batman Beyond, like a Michael Keaton and something like that. So Hamada doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. And then Paulie's reminding us that after this, I'm going to hop over there for a little bit to talk on his program. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to slide into Toxic Tuesday tonight or not, but do head on over there. Otherwise, too, because you're watching tonight a film that I know Script Doctor loves.
Oh, yes. The Naked Gun.
From the Files of Police Squad.
Yeah. Can't wait. Absolutely awesome movie. And
do you want to get a dinghy?
I took it back.
What a beaver. Conference. Thanks. I just had it.
Nobody asked me to the dinghy thing. No. I went before I left.
Yeah, he said,
oh, you did it? I didn't hear you,
that
Claudia.
back at the conference.
All right, took that back.
Yeah. Anyways, for the chat on 40 minutes, Toxic Tuesday, The Naked Gun. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be fun to talk about, and I can't wait it's gonna be a good time to talk about this movie because I've watched it twice in the last week, and I still laughed my face off the same way I did when I first saw it many moons ago. So that tells you everything about a great comedy. Drebin, Lieutenant Drebin.
Well, here's full disclosure, Nick. I've only seen the movie once, and that was when it first came out. I think Script Doctor's the only other person who knows this. I'm actually more familiar with the original 6 episodes of the show.
It's way better. I love the movie, but the 6 episodes are fantastic. They're better.
Because CBS used to repeat them almost every summer back when I was a kid.
See, really, it was an ABC show. Originally, was it CBS showed it? Wow.
Well, CBS is Paramount. They ran an own show.
Got you covered. Great show.
In the summer, to cover up for something, instead of showing reruns, they would just throw on Police Squad for 6 weeks.
Didn't know that. I watched it so many
times. There's 6 episodes, right? Script?
Yes.
I think there's 8 films, but 6 aired, and you can get all 8 on the DVD.
I think 2 of them are, or maybe they cut like 2 into like movie length or something like that. I can't remember, but it was maybe 6 to 8 weeks. I can't remember what it was, but they would show all the episodes. I know that, but yeah.
The DVD I have has 6, but I mean it's been a while since I looked at it. There are 2 extra ones on there.
Unless they did cut those into like movie length, like I said, but I don't know.
I don't know. All I know is I got the complete thing on my DVD, and I know that they didn't air the entirety of the series when it first aired. They kept 2 episodes back. I think it was
when it first aired on Cheat Network. There were 6 aired. I can tell you that much because I recorded them all.
I've got the Blu-ray, but I haven't checked either. Sorry.
Oh, there's a Blu-ray. Oh my.
Yeah. They released a region-free Blu-ray.
Oh wow.
I kind of got a semi-imported, but I think Amazon has it.
Oh okay. Great show. And the opening, the guest star each episode. Tonight's guest star, William Shatner.
And that's another reason why I remember it was CBS, because that's also released by CBS Paramount Disc. Yeah. But that was the repeats. That wasn't the original airing. You're right. It originally aired on ABC. But yeah, when I was a kid, so like we're talking in the late 80s, early 90s, they used to run it on the summertime.
Oh, wow. Cool. Yeah. Great show.
I don't know if it was just a local thing. It must have been, because I've brought it up and people they're like, I don't remember them doing that. So maybe it was just a local thing. They ran over repeats instead or something. I don't know.
Could be. I mean, the movie was pretty quotable, but that TV show was even more.
Well, and I kind of vaguely remember them. Didn't the movie like take a lot of shit from the show?
They did.
Like, they redid a lot of the stuff.
They recast Nordberg, OJ.
OJ.
Technically, it's not the same Nordberg because the spelling is different. It's actually just a different guy named Nordberg.
He was Peter Lupus on the TV show Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible. Alan North played him on the TV show. Played his buddy, his boss. But same guy played Al because you never see his face. And it's God, I love that show. The show. Look, the movie is really good, but the show.
They have a Japanese rock garden joke or a Japanese garden joke that is the best Japanese garden joke ever in television history.
Yes. Oh God.
Yeah, I remember that show being.
Each episode, like in the first episode, Drebin hits 1 garbage can when he stops. In episode 2, he hits 2. Episode 3, he hits 3.
Yes, that was always one of the running gags.
That's the show that invented the shootout between the 2 people, but they're only like 3 feet apart.
3 feet away.
Now, isn't that also the show at the end where they do the freeze frame and they're actually just sitting there frozen?
But everything's moving and stuff. Like one time there was a monkey running around.
One of the crooks gets away.
Yes.
But he can't get out of the frame. He can't get out of the frame of the camera. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh
God, it's been so long since I've seen those too, so I apologize. But
that's
yeah,
one of
I
the
wish I could.
Things ever made, man.
I might jump in near the end or something, Nick. But like, yeah, I wish I had a chance to review it. So I haven't seen it in so long. I'm just like, man. I'll end up mixing things up with the other 2 movies and the show, and yeah. Because I do remember that the show did have a lot of the same bits and some of the storylines they ended up using in the movies. At least the first one, I know that.
The opening credits of the movie will make you laugh your ass off. Yes. I mean, that's how great with the car driving all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time those credits ended, the first time I saw it in the theater, I could barely breathe. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Great movie.
But do you want to tease those ones that are coming up, Nick, or are those surprises yet?
Well, I'm just letting you know. So
okay, I just didn't know if you wanted to say it out loud. Okay,
no,
gotcha.
No.
I wanted to make sure before I spoiled anything.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so check that out tonight. Otherwise, I'll be hopping over on Paulie's here in about probably 5 or so minutes as soon as we get out of here. I want to thank everybody, though. It's been a wonderful crowd tonight. We do have one more super chat. If Cavill is back in Black Adam, says Robert, Warner Brothers will keep him. Yes. But I have not heard anything. I want to believe Mikey and Sil on this. I really do, but I have not heard anything on that front. To make me believe they have been able to work anything out with Cavill yet. But
and again,
crossed, we'll see.
We heard that he might be making that appearance at Comic-Con. That didn't materialize. There was something else going on at the time on the set of where he was at the time when those rumors were floating.
This is true, but even Mikey himself had verified that his appearance had nothing to do with his not showing up. Had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's like I said, I mean, it's a brilliant marketing maneuver. If you do you push this idea out there, leak it out there, and it doesn't come true, it increases demand.
This is the thing culture that kind of is weird to me. A lot of this stuff feels like it all happened within like the last week after Comic-Con because
that also didn't surprise me.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, because otherwise, why in the fuck wouldn't you have teased Ben Affleck coming back in Aquaman 2?
That's true.
At Comic-Con.
Yeah,
of all places.
A lot of missed opportunities. And also, let's not forget with the Black Adam too. If Henry Cavill's in it too, and Those are big things to set the stage for.
Yeah,
Comic-Con.
Speaking of big stage, and this is the thing that may have led into this, and I know we're trying to exit the show, but look, Amazon like stuck their foot, not their toe, their foot in the middle of everything at Comic-Con with that massive display that they had going in promotion of the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power. And that is, that may have made Zaslav go, we didn't really make a good showing at Comic-Con. Maybe that was it.
I have breaking news for Mikey Sutton.
Uh-oh.
He says, Zaslav is considering shelving the Flash. No decision made yet, but it's on the table.
Wow.
Well,
we figured that much.
Yeah. So at least I guess he's saying that is what one of his sources is saying. Yes.
It's the same kind of situation. Do you spend $100+ million in that case to reshoot significant portions, if not almost entirely the film, and then still have to contend with another 100 in a movie like that? You're spending $150 million on marketing it.
Easy.
So you're into this movie now for 150 whatever million they're already in. Now you're talking about to get it to theaters and actually have a viable chance, another 250 easy on top of that, I bet.
So they're basically going $500 million on all expenses before they even see a dime back.
400, well, probably 400 at least. I don't know what they spent on the original production script. I said 150.
Well, here's the thing. This is why we generally.
This movie has been in production since 2015.
Exactly. Technically, yes.
True.
It's just like with Superman Returns. There's a lot of expenses that have been occurred before they even got started on actual production.
So wait a minute. So I have to ask a question. This film had already reached the point where it has a completion bond, though, right?
If they keep on doing additional photography and reshoots, that's tricky. I'd have to see the contract.
The reason I'm asking is because is Chubb going to have to write a check, or whoever their insurer is?
That's where I'm curious about too. If that's cheaper than them figuring what the reshoots are going to cost them to replace Ezra.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
That's where Valiant was 100% right with that. He said it, I think, in the DMs. But you broke it down. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say they're looking at a cost benefit analysis here. If they can come out, even though they probably might not be able to, claim on the bond, because in this case, all right, we have voluntarily just chucked this thing in the trash. So the insurance company, just like with Amber Heard, who was found guilty of deliberately maliciously causing the issue,
problems.
They did. New York Marine is like, we ain't paying this because you did it on purpose. The jury
on
even
that
said
note,
you did this on purpose.
Can I interject something that might actually be pertinent to this, Valiant?
Yeah.
What if they're offsetting the cost? Let's say, would there be a situation, since she was found technically guilty or whatever, that they would be able to cash in on some insurance to help with those reshoots?
Oh, for Aquaman,
on
maybe.
Aquaman 2, and maybe those costs are offsetting what they'd have to pay back to shelve the Flash.
Very possible in that case, depending on how the insurance, and I'm not familiar with those kinds of insurance policies, those specialty policies for Hollywood productions. I know of some companies that write them. I've never actually put my eyes on a contract because I don't.
That's not your sphere.
I've never been an agent on a contract of that nature for insurance. But I will say that usually they have stipulations in there that if you have an issue to where you're encumbered, your production is encumbered by something that is regulatory risk, or in this case, like you think of governmental risk, like when governments shut down entire countries and places because of the coup.
Well, in fact, we just had this, right? Because Paramount just settled with Chubb over Mission Impossible 7 and 8. Yeah. So they
had to, because it was a case of, it was a regulatory risk to the production. It's like, through no fault of our own, we incurred radically higher costs and incurred massive delays because of regulatory risk. And of course, when you write these insurance contracts, you never think that an entire country is going to push a button and shut itself off. But that's going into new contract language. Now it already has.
No, it is.
But that being the case, of course, we have to reshoot a bunch of stuff because one of our primary cast members for these scenes was, this person has now become unusable from a marketing standpoint. That's a little bit more of a gray area. But in the case of the Flash, they're looking at, if we have to spend all this extra money just to maybe have a chance, like Script said, we're gonna have to go another $250 million at this point to get this thing to the theaters, or we cut bait and run and we just, we can pay out our above the line people that have residuals on the back end of this thing. It might cost us 50 or 75 million as opposed to 250.
Right.
And we don't know what the hell's going to happen.
Who is it really costing and how much is it really costing? Who is my next big question? Because as we know, this was a situation where Discovery came in and they did. So does this kind of a situation, is this like when Disney bought Fox in a situation where these are basically movies, they didn't really spend this money on them. They were already
Zaslav looks at this as, I had nothing to do with this.
Yes, that's
so. I don't want to.
I'm saying financially, is it not their problem in a way?
Disney did this, Disney. Well, but this was a little bit different,
Disney,
right?
But Warner. Yeah, I know it's a little different than the Disney situation.
Disney spent $70 billion to buy Fox, whereas this was a merger between.
That's what I'm saying.
So there's going to be contractual language, just like there was with those films. So Disney had to put them in theaters because those movies with Fox had contracts. These have to get theatrical releases.
Well,
apparently. That's
not exactly what I'm getting at, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, okay. Well, I was going to say, but Disney apparently was under no obligation to spend $75 or $100 million per Fox picture to market it into theaters. They just threw it out there and basically said, look, theaters, you give us whatever you want to give us. We're not going to spend the marketing dollars, which means the theaters probably gave them less rentals on the movie because they weren't going to campaign. They weren't going to do an ad campaign. That's one of the key criteria for what theaters want is studios and distributors to spend X amount of dollars for, depending on the film, depending on how many screens it goes into. They want to assure that this distributor is going to spend a certain amount of money marketing this film. Disney didn't want to do that. So they just said, let's get what we can get out of it and we'll write it off. That's kind of, I think, what Zaslav is looking at some of these films at this point. I don't want to have to spend, Disney didn't have to spend extra money at that point. The films were produced, they were done. All that money had been allocated that was already on the books. We're looking at now trying to salvage films by spending between Aquaman 2, The Flash, Batgirl, hundreds upon hundreds of millions of additional dollars. And Zaslav's like, there's no guarantee that any of these turds are going to turn a profit at the box office.
Yep.
I'm bailing. I can make 10 shows on Discovery Plus for $5 million a piece that will turn profit faster and higher ROIs than these three films.
Yeah. That's true. And the only stuff that Zaslav has done since he's taken over is commissioned or technically approved of reshoots for The Flash and Aquaman 2. There's been nothing pushed on Batgirl. He's canceled the Wonder Twins. There's been no talk at all about Black Adam, so he's perfectly fine with that, I guess. So he can basically say, am I really losing the full budget of The Flash and Aquaman if I pulled both these films? I'm not going to suggest he's pulling Aquaman. I think he's going to commit to that. But with The Flash, he's like, am I really losing the budget of that? Or really, when I take a look at it, I've only commissioned for 2 scheduled reshoots. This is the price tag on it. I'm only really losing this many X millions of dollars as opposed to this X hundreds of millions of dollars. I could probably pull away and do a fair write-off under the Warner Brothers Discovery tax code. I've only invested X amount of dollars, which I could probably write off a lot easier and then allocate a payout to the rest of the cast.
And there's only one hitch in the giddy up here, kids, and that's this. If they have companion advertisers that paid up front to place products and other things like that and have campaigns ready to roll out with this, that's a problem.
It is, but there'd be a buyout clause in the contract.
Kind of more where I was headed to was like that's the thing. Financially on the hook, liably, is Discovery even really worried about that aspect? That's where I was looking at, like, if they're like, why should we throw in more money on this fucking dumpster fire unless they're contractually obligated for whatever reason. But the release dates have been so fucking fluid at this point. I can't believe that they're stuck in any kind of contract with theaters yet. The only contracts I can see them being stuck with would be like toy and other type of contracts. But even then, those seem like they have to be so fluid at this point, because we even saw what happened with the Wonder Woman situation, right? Doritos is like, fuck you guys, we're just putting our shit out. We can't hold on to these bags any longer. They're going to go bad.
They have an expiration date.
Exactly. They have an expiration date.
That happened with a number of movies out there. And look, to what Culture said, I mean, think of it this way. Let's say you got some advertising partners for some of these films, and that's all fine and dandy. You put the merch out, you do this. It's like, hey, this was, you're going to have product placement kind of thing in the movie or in the HBO Max show. Hey, look, we have an ad-based tier on HBO Max. You know, you spent $10 million to get your ad. We're going to give you $10 million of ads on HBO Max as a comp.
Yeah.
What does that cost him? I mean,
cost him nothing. That's an easy write down. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I mean, there's ways to do it. It's like, yeah, okay, look, guys, we know we're in breach of contract. We know we told you we're going to do this, but let's sit back down at the negotiating table. Let's make it good. We don't need to go to court over this. We don't want to screw the advertisers. We just have films that, you know what? If I'm Zaslav, I'm like, look, I wasn't here when this was done. I know you guys signed a contract. I looked at these films. We had audience test scores, and frankly, these things are not up to snuff. You don't want your products in this film because this film ain't going anywhere. I would much rather compensate you by giving you some premium advertising space on Discovery and HBO Max, shows of your choice. Let me know what you want.
That's how that he'd probably also offer them a certain discount with regards to future crossover promotions with other properties.
Absolutely. There's easy ways to do this, especially given the position that Zaslav is in right now, where it's like, look, I'm the new captain. I just got on this massive cruise ship here. Work with me a little bit. We want to keep you guys around. We love our sponsors. Work with me on this because we want to have a good future going forward. We can have a few bumps in the road right now with something this big, where we spun off a multi-billion-dollar asset from AT&T and merged it with a multi-billion-dollar asset at Discovery. They all get this, so they're going to work this out. I'm not worried about that.
And here's the thing is, and I got to imagine that if they want to can the Flash movie, it's probably going to be a lot more difficult to call the quits because it's not still in the midst of actually shooting or supposedly in production or whatever, like Batgirl was.
Mm-hmm. And Batgirl was done shooting.
Well, they're claiming here's the thing, and then this is what I was getting at my point, because they're claiming in the press that Batgirl was only 90% done.
Well, that's post-production. They're factoring in.
Regardless, that's the thing is my thing with they're not saying anything about the Flash yet, is I think there's a lot more loopholes they got to go through to either shit can this thing or what have you. But like, that's the thing is they're presenting this idea that, it wasn't good or whatever, but that's not it wasn't good enough in a cinematic form or whatever. I'm losing my original point. Sorry. But we got to get rolling out of here anyway. So
I was going to say IMDb Pro has Batgirl going to post-production, according to IMDb Pro, April 5th of this year.
Yeah, it was done. In fact, it might actually be done.
Principal photography was done. So,
but my point was something along the lines of them presenting an argument in a case in the public eye was my whole thing, because really this is kind of the main point I was going to get to. The case of getting out of the Flash or shelving the Flash is a lot easier case to make than trying to come up with 30 fucking reasons why they're not releasing Batgirl that are bullshit and clearly bullshit, when all they got to do is say, it's pretty obvious why we can't release
But compared to the Flash, I hate to say it, nobody gives a shit about Batgirl. That's why.
But that's what I mean is like they're putting
they don't have to make the excuses. It's canned. Most people outside of people like us are never going to know this movie even existed.
Well, no, I get that. But like at this point, they're already creating this narrative in the press about this. And Flash would be the one that you would think that they care more about. But anyway, my whole point was kind of lost in the midst of it all. But with that, I want to thank everybody for showing up here. And I know it's been a hell of a fucking program. Check out Geekosity. Check out Sill's channel. Check out Klobby's channel. You got anything coming up real quick you want to plug? Check out his channel. He has stuff usually like almost every day. But it's like Mondays and Thursdays. And he might even have something later tonight.
He's busy.
He does Star Trek shows and comic book.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. I was just trying to cover for you.
No, I appreciate it, man. I thought I wasn't unmuted there. I apologize. Yeah, and I'm going to be on tomorrow night. Loki's actually bringing back the comics panel. I think we're going to be on Loki's channel at 7 p.m. Central. Loki and 24 and I believe we're going to be on tomorrow night. And then I'll have my show tomorrow night as well. And then Thursday night at the Clubhouse, Saturday night Star Trek. And Nick's got a big one coming up too. 2 big ones, so to speak.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of Nick, you got your show tonight, right?
Yes, in 20 minutes. Obviously, I'll say one more time for those who missed it. Toxic Tuesday, The Naked Gun, and this Friday night on the Comic Shop Talk, we're continuing part 2 of our discussion on the original Nova run, titled The Man Called Nova from Mr. Marv Wolfman and the Buscema's. So we're going to talk issues 5 through 9 from that Friday night. And I've got a few videos coming out this week. And, of course, you can find me on here, Comics Division, and all Park Cards, Thursday Night Throwdown with Culture Casino and the rest of the Dick's Boys. And, Chad, thank you all for being here. This has been a very wildly fun show. It was a pleasure being on a panel with bunch of Titans, basically. So you all have a good night, and I'll see a few of you.
See you later, man. I'll try and
on
hop in
Toxic
later.
Tuesday. Oh yeah, hey, if you can be there, great. If not, no worries, dude. There's always next week.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah, and then I want to thank Valiant Renegade for gifting memberships earlier as well to
VR, dude.
Style Section, Shalify, Crass Socks, Nosmer Unlimited, and Brett Sanders, Johnny Boy, looks like, Naaman's Canadian Bacon, and let's see who else here.
Somebody else gifted
Lord
10 memberships.
They did.
Okay.
Ching-Hua and David Simon. And then if I can get it up here, Gonzalo Bergali also donated 5 memberships. Let me see if I can find that. Unless somebody has it handy, go ahead. Let's see here. I got Casperius, Mecha J, Luke Carlowicz Art. I am so sorry, Luke. Cosmic Vader, Aaron Ratcliffe, and Gonzalo. Thank you for that. We appreciate that so very much. Valiant, speaking of you, my friend, anything coming up?
No, I did a video this morning. YouTube hates me right now. I don't know why. It's just, I know this is going across the board. Like, I've seen views sharply down on a lot of channels, dude. I put out a video at noon today. It is like at 1,900 views. Normally it should be like 6,000-7,000 by now. It sucks. I put out a short, which is why I was working on a Batgirl got canceled short when I got home around 5:45 Central. Right before y'all started, I was trying to get that out, and that's actually doing. YouTube wants shorts now. I mean, this is the stupid crap we have to do to try to keep up with the Joneses that we don't have a choice not to keep up with anymore. But I did a video today, and this morning, and talking about the Andor trailer, talking about why Disney is doing the 3 episodes up front. It's the same story as Obi-Wan. They're banging those Nielsen ratings. And the short version is you can watch the video. There's more details there. Disney's earnings report is Wednesday, August 10th. That's a week from tomorrow, 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I am planning, hopefully, I might not be able to do 4K for you that day, Tom, just as a warning, because I'll probably be live streaming the earnings report that afternoon.
Oh, it's going to be good.
So I'm hoping to get home in time to do that right when it starts. But I will be going live that day. Next Wednesday.
Okay.
Next
Wednesday we got a bunch of. It seems like the way that DVD and Blu-ray announcements tend to go like every other week. So I wouldn't worry too much. Like
so then hopefully next week will be a light week.
And I think it'll be a light week. And then
we have some big numbers Thursday this week. Shoot, I forget who it is, but another big.
Well, AMC theaters will be Wednesday this week, and I'll be covering that. Probably not on a live show for that one, but I will be covering it.
Thursday.
But what I want to look at is Wednesday next week, as I think when they're going to announce, it makes the most sense. They're going to announce the actual start date for the ad-based tier of Disney Plus. And given this recent announcement with Andor, my original prediction was that the ad-based tier was going to start on or about October 1st, because that is the first day of the new fiscal year for the Walt Disney Company, fiscal year 2023. Andor comes out September 21st with 3 episodes, banging the Nielsen ratings. I'm thinking that they're going to launch Disney Plus ad tier with Andor.
They're going to have to.
That's what it's looking like right now. And I mean, if I were running this ship, that's what I'd be doing.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like any of the mods caught the member chat, did they? Doesn't look like it. Yeah. I'm sorry about that, Nick. What did you say, Nicholas Horton? Please, if you
just
can,
retype it, buddy.
Reiterate it. Check out Script Doctor's channel. You got anything coming up you need to plug, or just check out your channel?
Just check out the channel. Nothing yet for me to plug.
Anything you plugging? Just a blonde.
Oh, hey now.
And last but definitely not least, Mr. Culture Casino, my hetero life mate.
Hey, I'm sorry it was tardy today. I went and did my.
That's all right. I attempted to do MEAD Radio, but OBS and YouTube were not communicating for some reason.
I had a huge problem this morning. I didn't have background music on the 6 Minute Daily. It was bonkers, and
you didn't have it yesterday either, and I gave you shit about it.
I know. It's like, what is going on with this? But we figured.
I said it's really awkward without it.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. All of your support is lovely. Thanks. I
look at it as constructive criticism.
Yeah, no, I was completing my civic duty. I went and voted. So Yeah. But what was the other thing?
I didn't do that today. Shit. I didn't know I was supposed to.
There's something I was supposed to do. I'm talking about things. Oh,
what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm headed over to Taco Tuesday next. I would love to have been hanging out with Nick and the folks over there on Toxic Tuesday, but I'm going to Taco Tuesday with Snowdub in just a little bit.
Ooh.
And then 6 Minute Daily tomorrow. The return of the Tuesday Tyrant will be next week, folks. And then Tom and I'll do that. But I have a new Indian cinema film review coming out on Thursday, and I will be releasing my first short ever on my channel, which is the movie snack that I consumed while I watched the short. So there you go.
I heard those short things weren't doing so well, but anyhow, check out Culture's channel and Valiant's channel.
That's what YouTube wants. And I just real quick, I see people in the chat saying I don't like shorts. I turn the shorts off. Look,
I don't either.
I get it, but please. Yeah. This is what YouTube wants us to do, and if we don't do it, our channels are going to suffer greatly. I promise you.
All I'm going to do is I'm going to do. Here's my shorts. I'm going to show each and every week a picture of one of my shorts.
That's it. There you go. As long as you watch the shorts from the channels that you like watching,
yellow shorts.
You gotta watch our shorts. Please help us out.
These are my.
I don't want to do shorts either. Most people don't want to do them, but we got to.
These are my jean shorts. These are my Daisy Dukes. Wait, how did those get there?
From the front or from the back? Wait, never mind. I don't want to know.
Look at them girls in them Daisy Dukes on. Come on, I can't be the only one who knows that song. Anyway,
I remember.
I don't.
You
want
do.
to
Thank
know.
you, Valiant.
No beans and Franks, kids.
Franks are beans.
How'd you get the beans above the Franks?
Oh man, whoa,
magical. All right, kids. Thank you so much. Did Nicholas say what his my membership chat was just about casting Michael Keaton in a Batman of the Future movie? Okay, we covered that quite a bit. Sorry I missed that, Nicholas. Thank you so much for sending in the support, though.
And that was the question I didn't get to ask VR. So think about this deeply before we leave. You don't have to answer. But isn't Keaton owed films? Because they signed a contract with this dude. Isn't he owed films?
They paid him. They don't have to necessarily release them, right? Script. I mean, as long as he's paid,
it might be in his contract. These have to be released for cinema release.
Is that a normal thing though?
It is now because of the global crisis. Remember, because the actors want their stuff to make it to the screen, and that was Scarlett Johansson's whole argument with Disney was that this was supposed to make it to the screen. So you're seeing specific language, I would imagine, in contracts now that delineate that. Anyway, I don't know, but there it is. That's my thought. Sorry.
I mean,
we're gonna make the show go too long.
Yeah, that's the thing is I don't know enough about it. I don't know if that's in his contract. The script must be away. So with that, we're gonna wrap this up. Head on over to some place. We're all going to different areas. Just make sure you tell anybody that wherever you're going that MEAD sent you. I love you all. Karate with infinite patience. And until next time.